What is going on, family? It's your boy G Consciousness. Y'all see what we're doing tonight. Shield Squad in the building. The state of Hebrew Israelism. Let's get a couple of these brothers and sisters in here. Give me a minute so we can do it the right way. I know I ain't been on here in a while, but we get in here. Get on this board real quick. All right. Get in here like that. All right. Cab Malone, what's going on, bro? I can't hear you. Hold on.
Okay, there we go. There you go. How
Can
about
you
now?
hear me on YouTube?
Yeah. I just fixed it. I should
Hold
be
on.
unmuted. I should
Mic
be
check,
unmuted.
mic check. Can
Yeah,
you hear me?
I'm unmuted now.
You can hear me? Raise your hand if you
Yep.
can hear me. All right. I can't hear you though.
All right, let me see. I just you should be able to.
Let me see.
Let me see here.
All right, let me see. Mic check, mic check. Okay,
Hold
I got
up.
a mic. I just don't see.
You don't hear me
You have a
still?
mic. Huh?
You don't hear me?
Can't hear you yet.
All right, hold up.
Let me do some things real quick.
Built-in mic, no. We're gonna get this, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, I can't hear you yet.
All right, just keep on going. I'm gonna mess around with it. I'm gonna see what's going on. Might be on my end.
Hold on.
Okay, what about now?
Matter of fact, hold on. Let me see.
Hey, what about now?
Let me see if I got let me see if we can hear it on Facebook, matter of fact, I mean on YouTube. That's what we're gonna do. Because it might be me, might be I need some headphones or something.
Let's see if people on YouTube. Hey, people on YouTube. Hey, they can hear me. Okay, good. Okay, so we're on YouTube. Now let's check, see if we're on Facebook.
I'm checking my channel right now.
Once we get this, we're gonna be in business.
Let me see if I got okay, you know what? It's me. I need some headphones. That's what it is.
All right.
And I don't know why. Let me do this real quick. But yeah, go ahead. Kick something off, brother. While I get this stuff together.
All right. Well, check it out though, man. You're only on YouTube. He's not on Facebook yet, is he, everybody? Unless he's live in the group. Is he live in the Hebrew Israelite discussion group? I'm gonna look on the. Here's what I'm gonna do to communicate with you guys. I'm gonna look in the YouTube side live chat to communicate with you when I ask these questions. I know you guys said you can hear me. So here's what I want to ask. Are we on Facebook? Because Lita, you're asking if we're gonna go. We're trying to go, but I don't think he is. Okay, I see people coming in. What's up, Lisa? What's up, Tony Tabano, my paisano? What's up, Lita? What's up, Eber? Good to see y'all tonight in the building. All right, while that's all going down, let me tell you guys a couple like things so you can know kind of what's going on before we get started here. Number one, if you are a Shield Squad member, please join in right now. You should have the link. It's in the official messaging system for Shield Squad. And this thing is not just for me and Brother G-Con, right? This is for Shield Squad. We're going to be discussing the state of Hebrew Israelism in 2018. And right now in the live chat, I'm dropping something for y'all. You should be able to see it. I just put a link, but since it doesn't really let you do links, what the link is just you got to put youtube.com and then / and then get the rest of it. It's for a video I just dropped tonight. And just in case you have problems doing it that way, I literally just dropped it, 34 minutes ago, actually. Let me give you the title so y'all could check that out maybe after we're done here. That's the title of the video I just dropped on Facebook tonight. So now you guys are aware. You got the title and you got the link. Not only that, but everybody be aware that Brother LeBron is supposed to be going live and do some stuff tomorrow. Oh, look at this. That video I just posted to you guys. I already got a comment by Elder Tahar of GMS. I don't even like calling him Elder, but anyways, Tahar of GMS. It's funny, man. I literally just posted 30 minutes ago, and he just now posted right now. Anyways, go check that one out. It's called, basically, they're wrong on all the big issues. Hebrew Israelites wrong on main issues. All right, so he's going to be going live on Facebook, I believe, tomorrow. Sunday night. And what he's going to do is he's going to be talking to one of these dudes from the conscious community who excels in biology because they've been dealing with the claims of the Hebrew Israelites for a while. Now, you know what I'm saying? These brothers in the conscious community still need the gospel, no doubt about that. But they do have some legitimate information. Sometimes they tend to do their research in certain areas better than the Hebrew Israelites. And so we're going to look at some of the stuff he says in relationship to biology, in relationship implications to claims of the Hebrew Israelites, what they be saying. You guys understand what I'm saying by that? All right, I hope so. Sometimes we're going fast. You know why? Because I just rocked out this coffee. See, I just finished this joint. But see, this isn't actually a Starbucks. I just happen to use their cup. What's in here? I make my own lattes at the house. And I knocked this one out. I added like 6 or 8 shots. I use all my own ingredients. Oh, man, I killed it. Now I'm ready to go. See what I'm saying? All right. Now with that, LaRon, I see you're up in there. Oh, Cherry Love's coming in the building. All right, let's make sure you all set. Unmute yourself, Cherry. And LaRon.
Mic check.
I hear you. We're good, bro.
We in the building. What's going on? Cherry Love, you gotta hold on. Let me unmute you.
Go down to that bottom left-hand corner in your application, if you can see it, Cherry, and just unmute. But LaRon, people saying we're not on Facebook, so I don't know if we're gonna be able to do both tonight. But it is what it is.
Yeah. I'm finna get on Facebook. Just keep on. I'm finna go on over there right now. All right.
Oh, that's how this thing works. Okay, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm confused. Why y'all got to do all this technical stuff?
Because
I'm slow.
look how good it looks. Go on YouTube.
It looks very nice.
Be sure to kill your sound if you go on YouTube, by the way. Kill your sound, but look at it. Okay. It looks nice. It looks real nice.
It looks nice.
Box like this, boom, 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 and the sound is better. This is so much better than just Google Hangouts.
You can see my hair.
Once we get this figured out,
I just got my hair did. See?
Hair did. I got you. I got you. What's up?
I just got my hair did. So I look good. Is it okay? Okay.
I think it's all right.
I'm gonna get y'all. I'm gonna get both of y'all. This technical stuff. I'm gonna get y'all. Y'all gotta help me because I don't know nothing about this.
But here you are. Nonetheless, you and your hair are in the building.
Yeah. Hey. Yeah, it looks nice though.
Your hair or the setup?
What? I'm not thinking about y'all.
All right. Hey, what's up? What's up, Maui? What's up, Maui? Joey, I see you in there. And Tony. Well, it's not. See, this wasn't really an espresso that I made. I add espresso shots to, milk and some flavor. So it's kind of like a latte. But I only rarely do I drink straight espresso. I got to be lazy when I don't want to do nothing with the milk. Then I'll just knock out some espresso. But I like to add a little bit of stuff in there too. But when people come over and I'm making one, they're always like, "Ooh, that was good." So if you ever come to my house and I got the ingredients, I'll make you up something real nice. You might stay up for a little bit though. You know what I'm saying? All right. So let's talk about what we're going to do tonight. Again, if you're in Shield Squad, come on and listen. This is the time now that we're set up. Everybody share this episode. We're going to be on here for, an hour and a half or something like that. So take this link. You guys see the link at the top of your screen and go on your Facebook pages go Twitter, man. You can go on Instagram because I even made a picture for this joint. You guys see that picture? It's also inside the group, the Christian Hebrew Israelite Gospel discussion group. So this is the time to share this. It's later in the night, and so whenever it's later, we know that there tends to be lower view counts, and so we want to bring that up. We got 20 right now. That's low. We should be able to get more, even though it is later in the night. And we didn't announce this except maybe a couple hours ago, so we understand that. It ain't like everybody knows. All right, we got Carmo. Hey, what's up, Carmo? What's up, Bruce Dallas? All right. So real. Hey, So Real, you said you couldn't do it. Why are you in the chat, but you're not in here? Why don't you come on in here, Lazarus? Bring So Real on in here. Come on, zoom on in here, bro. Come on, So Real. All right. So G-Con, that's my intro, man. I'm good. I want to make sure you can be heard. We're ready to talk about this thing,
Yeah,
which
definitely,
is
definitely. We got Scott up in here. What's going on, Scott?
well, I see his little thing, but I don't hear him. But if you come in, try to show your picture. We like to see everyone's face. Since we got this Zoom technology, it's a lot better if everybody shows their face. So check this out. We're going to be talking about the state of Hebrew Israelism in 2018, because we like to look back at 2017, kind of take the year in review, and now we look forward and we say, what are the conditions on the ground right now in 2018? That's what we're going to be discussing tonight. Each one of us is going to give our perspective and our opinion. And I just want to make sure everyone can be heard. Scott, can you be heard? Say something, bro.
Yo, what up? I'm trying to get my lightning streak. I don't think y'all can see me, right?
Now, you like the Phantom of the Opera in the dark right now.
Yeah, man.
Why you all? He looks like the Predator, bro.
No, the lighting in here is terrible, bro. Let me hold on one second. Hold up.
All right, Predator. Hey, don't he look like Predator? Hey, but so that's what we're gonna be doing. So hey, let's just kick things off. LeBron, you got something? Can we start off with you and then go to Cherry, and then I'll say something? Can we start this off? LeBron, what's your opinion of how things look right now in Hebrew Israelism that we've been dealing with? What's your assessment?
Mic check. All right, cool. Well, one of the things I see, as I say, we've been banging hard. A lot of these guys, they got to step up their scholarship, their theology, or whatever they're dealing with. And I see that they're trying to do that. They're critiquing their information. We got Sakari and them over there. They're asking questions. And they're continuing on a daily basis to dialogue with Christians and try to critique their information. That's what I see. I see also they're getting off into genetics now. You know what I'm saying? We're forcing their hand to get off into the genetics. We got people talking about the E1B1A is basically the Israelite gene or haplogroup. You know what I'm saying? So we're dealing with that just as well. Then we also got they was always dealing with somewhat of historical content, but a lot of these guys are trying to come with more so concrete. What we say is concrete for them to be evidence. You know what I'm saying? And so they dibbling off a little West Africa a lot. We see them in West Africa. You know what I'm saying? And but we got to work for that too, just as well. So I see that these guys are progressing in how they try to step up their work when they come and deal with us, because they got to come in a way to where it's not so one Western, one, so to speak. So even a lot of these camps, what I see is they're leaving certain of their doctrines and then they're contradicting themselves a lot. I see that's going on. So I think that, we got into the little rap thing. We had the little rap session that took place, and you know what I'm saying? And, so they coming from different angles, but it ain't nothing that, we can deal with in handling this word and this truth. I think that we got the upper hand, but that's what I'll say for right now until I get this Facebook up and running.
So you think, G-Con, that as they've had to deal with some of our counter arguments, that their arguments are getting a little bit better? Or that they're kind of some of them are learning how to respond to some of our stuff, or at least they're trying to take that information in and do a little bit better? Or is that what you're kind of saying?
Yeah. I think that they're trying to take some of our information and just information in general and trying to get better what they do, you know what I'm saying, and progress. So I kind of do see that a little bit.
All right. And so G-Con is saying like I mean, maybe I could put it this way, because I've thought a little bit about what you're saying actually. The Hebrew Israelites were almost helping them in a way, because for a long time they were out there with these really bad arguments, and nonetheless they were still growing. You know what I mean? And now we're coming up with counter argumentation and checking their information, which, to be honest, is almost always wrong. I'm gonna tell you straight up. Every time a Hebrew Israelite presents something, you take it to the source, you realize, now I'm telling you, 9 times out of 10, I'm not even joking on that. Like, we're talking some serious errors and understanding sources on a regular basis, but we're almost helping them in a way, because they're having to sharpen up some other arguments. Now, are they really doing due diligence and really coming up with excellent counter arguments just yet and all that type of thing? No, but we've seen them alter over the past year some of their stuff, and they're coming up with new little ways to try to get around things or whatever. I don't think, my man Kadash said he's never seen them evolve so quickly in such a short amount of time, because we all know One Westism been evolving since day one. But now it seems like the evolution is taking place at a more rapid rate. And part of it has to do with the interaction with the Christian community as we bring it to them. Now, again, I'm not saying the response has been good by and large, but I'm saying I see little developments here and there, which basically trying to get slicker on some stuff. Maybe one day it'll actually result in them getting more biblical. That'd be awesome. But for now, we're at a state where, they're trying to like, okay, well, okay, what? But, I think secretly, man, a lot of them know that right now they're kind of in a state of running. I'm going to be real frank, because I think that they're really running from what the Bible really means. And slowly but surely, we're bringing it out. Ron, you got anything else to say? Or are you setting up that Facebook still?
Can you hear me?
Yeah. What else you got to say? I just kind of interacted with your comment.
Right. And so I definitely agree to that. I think that, like I said, as they hear some of these arguments, they have to try to critique it. And, when they do that, they contradict their first stance their previous stance that they have. So it's kind of getting really ridiculous. So it's just like they trying to clean up these bullet wounds or holes, and they steady just leaking out, because the doctrine that they're teaching is full of holes. And so, we just keep coming and keep bringing the pressure, man. That's all we need to do. This, giving all glory to God, basically.
No doubt. Shout out to people in the live chat on YouTube. Trust in Jesus. He said, LaRon, Nick Cannon literally just got off the phone with me, and he asked if he can have his hat back. And then Mac Thomas asked, what is Hebrew Israelism? Mac, that's the way we describe the religion of the Hebrew Israelites, because it's an ideology. It's a belief system. We understand that Hebrew Israelites don't agree. They think it's an ethnicity, but that's part of Hebrew Israelism, is to believe that tenet. Trust in Jesus. Yeah, we going all right. What's up, Maui? Joey already said, Lita, Mariah, G. All right. Got some good moderators in here. And then who else we got? 2012 West. Hey, what's up? He's saying they abandoned Deuteronomy 28. Well, they haven't abandoned Deuteronomy 28, but I noticed they're a little slower to get to it. They used to go to that like right away. Like, this is, I'm saying, number one, grade A. Now they kind of, there's other stuff besides Deuteronomy 28, and they kind of roll around to it eventually when they get a chance. You know what I'm saying? Frank Vada says it's an internal change. And then who else we got up in here? I'm just trying to give a shout out. As we go on, I probably won't be able to check this as much and give you guys shout outs, but right now I am. So there we go. So, Adam Coleman, you want to interact with some of those comments and give your opinion as well on the state of Hebrew Israelism in 2018, now that we can see you and you're no longer the super predator.
Yeah, no doubt, man. I missed some of what LaRon was saying, because I was trying to get my my lighting situation straight. Because like you said, I was looking like the predator out here, man. I had to clear that up. But yeah, man. So first of all, I agree with what LaRon is saying, is that what's interesting. I don't want to take too long, but I'm a big fan of St. Augustine, man. Reading some of his stuff, and there's a guy, to make a long story short, African theologian named Tychonius, right? And Tychonius was, and Vocab, you can appreciate this for sure. He was one of the Donatists, you know what I'm saying? And so one thing that Augustine said about this guy Tychonius is like, yo, man, he's like real sharp, but I don't know why he rocks with this group that's obviously heretical. And one thing that Augustine says about Tychonius is that the problem is Tychonius didn't have basically a sparring partner, somebody to come in and say, you know what, you're a real sharp dude, but you haven't looked at A, B, and C counter arguments to what you believe. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And what Augustine says is that, if Tychonius had a sparring partner, then a lot of the stuff that was obviously in error, I'm saying, he probably would have caught it, but he just didn't have somebody to really, had anybody. He didn't really have anybody around him except for like a bunch of yes men. So, it's kind of like, I think that's what you have, with the Hebrew Israelites. You know what I'm saying? I think that for a long time, they've been doing their thing, for decades at least, you know what I'm saying? And Christians haven't really confronted it. You know what I'm saying? Like, we just kind of been letting it slide, they've been kind of doing their thing. And I think what's happening is now that you have apologists stepping up and kind of, checking them on certain things, it's forcing them to have to develop, their arguments and develop their position in a way that they didn't previously have to. So I agree with G-Con for sure. Now, aside from, what's interesting, it's like kind of parallel with that. And maybe some of the Hebrew Israelite historians that we got can maybe attest to this. I think what you see is a more deliberate move towards establishing legitimacy. You see what I'm saying? I think there's an awareness among some of them that, like, their most vocal spokespersons have been like, the GMSs and people out on the street corners wilding out and, just acting a fool or whatever. And I think what you see is among, I think, who we would consider to be called the quote moderates, I'm saying, they're trying to move away from that sort of thing. And they want to establish, we're not all thugs and so on and so forth. And I think if for whatever reason, that's a real big push right now. And I think you see that with any young movement. They want to move from the stage of being considered a cult to being considered, a legitimate religion or belief system. And so I see, just recently, I've seen a lot of that going on. I'm sorry, I keep looking at this thing. I've seen a lot of that going on, of really trying to establish themselves as like a legitimate group. Now, that's not necessarily a bad thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, when I watched, K-Dub and Brother Jay debate the guys from Sicaria, I think it was. You know what I'm saying? It was a very, it went much smoother than I thought it would. You know what I'm saying? Much smoother than I thought it would. I think that's good. That's definitely a good thing. And I think that as Christians, we can embrace that sort of thing, because my perspective is this: the more logical they think, the more that they, intellectually engage with the arguments you give them, the more they'll see the truth as to this Christian doctrine and come out of falsehood. You know what I'm saying? To whatever degree that they are involved in falsehood. So I think that's a positive thing from a gospel standpoint. And that's part of what apologetics is all about. Apologetics is not just, debating people and answering questions. It's helping people to think through difficult questions and objections that they have in a logical way, such that it leads them toward the truth. So I think that the debates have been very interesting. More recently, I haven't really been debating a whole lot. I try to engage people in conversations and just really, just dialogue or whatever. And I think there's a place for both. You know what I'm saying? And, when I first started, engaging folks, I didn't really run into a whole lot of Hebrew Israelites that, would be willing to engage in peaceful, logical conversation. But it's cool, man. I'm coming across some now, where they're actually, you can have a conversation with them without them calling you a coon, and I think you get, on both sides, you get a lot farther, you know what I'm saying, when you approach it that way, so yeah, I think that the influence of urban apologists on the Hebrew Israelite community, right, it's just one of those things, man. I'm sure they would see it as a negative. They still view us as the enemy, you know what I mean? But at the end of the day, I think that, my concern is that the gospel is getting out there, man, and we're seeing some change, and people coming to know the grace of God in ways that have been that has been veiled from them by trying to follow the law and so forth. So.
Amen, amen. Hey, G-Con, the stream on Facebook is wild, man. It's like just no color. It's all a dark screen, and the sound is just like sound like crazy. It doesn't make sense. I don't know if you could check it out, because I just looked at it. Unless it's just me having a problem, maybe you guys can comment, or you can look into that, G-Con. But yeah, Adam Coleman, I think that's right. And it's like maybe they could see, these Hebrew Israelites. We're not really against them like that. Now, we're against these dangerous ideas and these heretical and even demonic ideas up in Hebrew Israelism. But any individual Hebrew Israelite, man, we want them to come to the truth. We're not trying to hide somebody's identity like they think. That's part of a conspiracy theory, really. But, I mean, honestly, we want the best for them. We want them to be able to interpret the scripture properly and see the gospel for what it is and join them brothers and sisters in unity. And we want them to know the goodness and sweetness and the beauty of Christ as he really is for who he is and what he's done. Like, that's what we want for them. That's what we hoping, you know? So we want to see them be closer to the biblical text. We ain't trying to take them away from the Bible. You know what I'm saying? We're trying to get them in there for what it really says, not though through the filter of their leaders or their favorite YouTube scholars or the book they read or whatever. And so, you know, I second that to what you're saying. And I hope that they can really see that and believe that. All right. Unless LeRon got something to say as he messes around with that Facebook thing. So right now, I think everyone should just watch it on YouTube, at least for now. By the way, though, share it. Please share this. Like, we having a good discussion, and we're gonna get more Shield Squad members in here later. I'm still looking for So Real, but let's see. Cherry Love, Sister Cherry. People notice it looks like you're at work, which I think is clearly true. But what you gonna tell us about what you think, how things are going, Sister Cherry?
Well, I want to say peace and blessings to you all, and thank you for having me on the panel. And to all the audience members, I want to say peace and blessings to you all. And we all, on behalf of Shield Squad, we thank you for your support. Honestly, and I'm just going to be brutally honest regarding them. I believe a lot of them are still delusional. I believe a lot of them, the arguments that they're presenting is very sloppy. They are running. They are definitely running, and they should. And I hope the direction that they will run will be directly to Christ. They're running out of lies. They're running out of manipulation tactics. I will say this for the audience, the people who are either researching or who have been hurt by this particular doctrine, or who just want to know. They're becoming aware. And I believe that we have screamed extremely loud. And now, instead of being on a regular microphone, we're on a bullhorn. And I believe that bullhorn is going to escalate to the big speakers. So people are actually becoming aware of their basic tactics. You know, the things that they were able to do and get over on them, and, you know, okay, get stumped in the street and you like, well, what's my nationality? You know, things that, you know, the basic things that really truly don't matter, or it's not biblical. People are catching on to that. So I'm very, very happy about that people are now paying attention. They're becoming aware. To the Hebrew Israelite community, as much as I would love to see that veil become lifted off their eyes, I know that power is left to Christ. And I'm okay with that. And I believe we are all okay with that. However, regarding the arguments and stuff, that the recent debates that I have seen, when G-Con debated against Sakari, Surreal debated against IUIC, and etc. There's nowhere to run to. They're running out. And that's a good thing. So I will have to say we need to continue on this course. And I pray that God will give us many more directions to stamp this thing out, because it needs to die. This doctrine needs to die. It's hurting people. It's misleading people, and it's very destructive. But I thank God that He wove us together to be a defense line for the people who really want to know Christ. That's my take on it. Thank you, brothers.
No doubt. That's good. Yeah. Glad to have Cherry. Glad to have the Shield Squad up in here. Let me see who else is in the chat. You know, the side thing on the YouTube Live. Anyone new that I ain't give a shout out to yet? I might be forgetting some of y'all. Oh, what's up, TVCO? Hey, is TVCO coming up on here? We need to get TVCO up in here too. Hey, what's up, New Black Knowledge? I see you in there. And then who else we got? I believe that's it for now. Going to build two unit to combat you. Fake war vocab. Frank Vada. Okay, hey Frank, can you explain what you mean? You're gonna build a 2 unit to combat me. Fake war vote. We don't really understand. I don't really understand what that means. But hey, let's try to get my man TVCO in here and So Real if he's still around. Let's please do this. Yes. All right. So I don't know if we working on the Facebook thing, but we got YouTube, so we're good. Again, share this. We can get up to I think 40. Even though it's late at night in some places. Hey, still share this because we got Shield Squad in the building. And let me tell you guys real quick how we're doing this. Is I want to see what G-Con got to say in a second here. Also Raquel. Yeah, Raquel. Oh, you still in there? Okay. In a second, we got to get to Raquel. We got to open up your mic. Our plan, our goal, our hope is to do one collective Shield Squad hangout per month in 2018. Now, Cherry does some over here. LeBron does some over here. I do some over here. Jordan does some over here, serving the Christ. Boom, boom, boom. But we're talking about collective where we try to invite everybody in and talk about a general topic that we can discuss. So this is the first one. This is January 2018, right? It's on LeBron's channel. We got this new technology. Now, I want to see who could do it next month. You know what I'm saying? Out of maybe even someone that joins tonight, maybe next month could be on Cherries, for example. Next month could be on Adam. So on your channel, maybe on your Facebook, using the same technology, we're trying to do this here on Lorenzo to kind of get it figured out. Raquel, I want to see if you can be heard if you're available. I have you muted right now. I mean, I didn't mute you, but I show that you are muted. Are you able to unmute yourself? Are you able to come on, Sister Raquel?
Hey, Shield Squad, can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can. All right.
Hey, sis.
Hey, I muted myself because I really don't know what I'm doing right now.
Girl, don't feel bad. Me neither.
Okay, so here's what I have 2 phones right now, trying to figure out what I need to be doing. So you guys go on and let me finish figuring out what's what here, because I'm new to what. I don't know what's going on. I'm gonna be honest. So give me just a second.
You're on, and apparently you can hear us. We just can't see you, but we got audio. So, just do this. If you're in the Zoom, you said phone, so you must be in the app. Look down there bottom, and there's screens that have a little audio microphone, and another little icon that has a video one, and you want to make sure you're unmuted, and you want to make sure that your video is on. That's really the key thing as far as when you're interacting, and everything else, as long as you can hear us, you're good.
Okay, so let me, like I said, I'm on 2 phones trying to get it figured out between the 2. Let me get it figured out on my other phone, because one phone actually just has way too many apps for me to download it. And I'm trying to figure that out because one phone is better than the other one. Y'all don't judge me, but let me figure it out.
All right.
All right.
Well, right now we got apparently myself and Brother Adam Coleman, the only one rocking it out right now. So let's look at this live chat real quick. Cayman Island 20. Shout out to you. I see you in there. And Mac Thomas is saying we need to critique Judaism, not Hebrew Israelism. Mac Thomas, the stuff the Hebrew Israelites believe is not identical to Judaism. So I don't understand really what you mean. They're not identical. Hebrew Israelism is not identical to Judaism. So there are critiques of Judaism, and those exist far and aplenty. But for Christians, because we've been dealing with Judaism for a long time in the Christian church, but Hebrew Israelism is a new thing.
Yeah, so, let me just add in too. I don't even think Hebrew Israelites would say that Hebrew Israelism is identical to Judaism. I'm most of them, with the exception of maybe a few Torah only guys, and maybe you can correct me if I'm wrong, vocab, but most of them would say they would take exception to that.
Well, maybe I'm reading. You know what? Maybe I'm reading what he's wrong. Maybe I'm reading what he's writing wrong. I think I might have been reading wrong. I think, Adam, he's saying 2 things. Hebrew Israelism is a made-up term, and we shouldn't be using it for them, number 1. And number 2, it says a lot about us that we don't critique Judaism. I think that the main I think if I'm understanding, because I'm trying to get his point, I think I read it, I was understanding wrong. I think what he's really saying now that I really looked at it is we should also be critiquing Judaism. I think that's what he's saying.
Oh, well, I mean, that's a pretty, I mean, I hate to, I mean, that's been going on for like over a millennia. I mean,
yeah. I mean, go back.
That goes back to, the
dialogue with Trypho the Jew.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. That's right.
As far as non-biblical stuff, because of course in Galatians is happening right there with the Judaizers. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, Galatians, Acts chapter 15. You got a lot. I mean, that's kind of old hat. So
even Revelation 2:9. That's really.
But let me say this too, though, is that there is this perception that all we do is attack Hebrew Israelites. You know what I'm saying? Like, why don't you get on the Comedics, or why don't you get on whatever? And I mean, some of us focus more on Hebrew Israelites than others, You know what I'm saying? And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But most of these people who say that, they don't see us doing those things, and they just assume that we don't address these other belief systems. But I know, for example, you was it maybe 2 months ago you were debating the atheists? Was that 2 months ago?
Yeah, yeah.
Right. So you're dealing with atheism. I mean, I myself, the vast majority of stuff that I do really is in regard to, atheism and,
Yeah.
comedics and so on and so forth. So, it's just this idea that all y'all cats do is get on the Hebrew Israelites. Y'all always talking about us. Nah, not really. It just so happens that when you see us, that's the case. But it's just not true. You know what I'm saying? It's just not true. I know, matter of fact, LaRon, man, I mean, I know him more so from dealing with the Comedics than the Hebrews. I mean, I recognize he does Hebrew stuff now, but the first time I checked him out, he was more so on the Comedics,
Yeah.
So, that's I don't know where to get that from, man.
No, that's true. Part of it I think is where they don't really get outside of their bubble a lot of times.
Right.
And so they think we literally just became like we just now were invented. We now
Right,
popped
right.
out, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
Born yesterday, one hit wonder, or something like that, overnight sensation. I don't know.
Right,
But
right.
really, you go back, and I'll even say, I was like, guys, why don't you just Google my name, and you can make search parameters, eliminate anything before 2016. So Google Vocab Malone 2015, make that the termination point, and see what you find. Like, what are you talking about? Like,
Right.
don't you?
I mean, yeah, it's just silly, man. It's just silly. And I mean, look at myself. Like, if anybody who Googles me right now, let's say if you pulled up like all of the articles that I've written, I guarantee you might find, I don't know, maybe one or two. You know what I'm saying? They mention the Hebrew Israelites. Typically I'm just not really writing about them. It's just, I mean, I probably get around to it. That just hasn't been my focus. Most of my shows, unless I have a guest, typically I'm not dealing with the Hebrew Israelites. I might mention them, you know what I'm saying, but
Right.
I'm not sitting around scheming at the crib like, yo, what can I say to the Hebrew Israelites today, to piss them off or something like that. It's like, nah, to be honest, I'm gonna be real with you. To be honest with you, sometimes I think like, man, I don't even know if I feel like mentioning these guys. I know you got a lot of them so sensitive, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, you mention them and all of a sudden it's like World War III. It's like, bro, I'm just, I mean, one comment and you got to
Seriously.
deal with them for like 4 days. I'm like, fam, I'm not trying to deal with you for 4 days. You say off like one comment. I'm just not trying to do it. You know what I mean?
There's some
Sometimes
very,
I'm like, man, I don't even
Hey.
feel like messing with these guys, man.
Dave
Jeez.
Chappelle talks about having a brittle spirit.
Oh yeah,
Yo, these dudes got a brittle spirit, bro. You
man.
say one
Hey,
thing
man.
and then like, ouch.
It's like it's a problem. It's like, yo, man. I mean, and I'm like, man, look, if I disagree with somebody, I'm gonna come and say something. You know what I'm saying? I'm not, if you disagree with me, come say something. I'm not gonna get offended. I like it. I like when people hit me up in my inbox and question me on stuff. I enjoy it, because it gives me an opportunity to learn. It gives me an opportunity to sharpen myself. But a lot of these cats, man, you say anything disagreeing with Hebrew Israelism, it's all of a sudden it's like this. Oh, they coming for us, y'all. It's like, come on, bro, just chill, bro. we on YouTube, fam. Like, it's not that serious. It's not that serious.
Yeah, for real, man. Hey, somebody asked what our thoughts were on Sam Shamoun's debate with the Hebrew Israelite camp. Has anyone seen that debate full and through? I have still not been able to watch it into its entirety. Every time I start it up. So have you seen it yet in its entirety?
No, actually, I haven't. I haven't seen it yet.
All right.
I've been preparing for like some speed engagement, so I just haven't. I kind of fell off, man. I got to check it out though. Shamoun is that dude. I heard great things about it. I heard great things about it. A lot of good feedback. So.
Yeah. Every time I go to watch it, something comes up every time. So I've made like through bits and pieces. I mean, all I know is, they used to call Sam Shamoun the Assyrian encyclopedia, and he deals, with the Muslims by and large, but there's some similar issues that he can deal with. And he's just got this weird gift of scripture recollection, man, and all kinds of stuff, bro. This, real, and he's out there in Chicago. So there's a bunch, he's dealt with them a lot, like on the streets and whatnot. And so,
well, see that, like, I think you kind of alluded to it. Like, a lot of times, well, maybe not a lot, but there are cases in which, some of the things that the Hebrew Israelites will argue for, there's like overlap, with Islam. So for example, that low Christology, for example, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's something that you would find. So like a Sam Shamoun, where my understanding is that he primarily deals with Islam, like you said, but on that regard, there's going to be some go between what he's dealing with in Islam and what he's dealing with the Hebrew Israelites, because they're essentially making the same arguments, that low Christology.
Some points like that. So Good. So, hey, you mentioned your speaking engagements. Since we're talking about the state of Hebrew Israelism in 2018, can you talk about sort of the state of the other side, the Christian apologist, what you got going on, and then also how people can find the stuff you have written, because you mentioned your blog. Can you tell people about that real quick?
Yeah, man. I'm really excited, man. Like, I've been doing the True ID podcast for about a year and some change. Matter of fact, you were the first guy that I interviewed for that. You know what I'm saying? So,
Right.
Appreciate that. And so people can check that out at trueidpodcast.com. That's TRUIDpodcast.com, and also available on iTunes. I actually run two podcasts. Matter of fact, shout out to my people at the King Talks podcast, because I'm doing that as well, and that's going really well. So you can check that out on iTunes and on SoundCloud. Shout out to my man Chris Broussard. Shout out to my man Cliff Big Money Means, and so I'm just excited about it. And what's crazy is when I first started doing this show, man, I really wasn't sure how it was going to be received. I just this is stuff that I'm interested in, this is stuff that I'm confronting. So I'm gonna just give it a shot, see if anybody cares. And if nobody does, I'll just shut it down. You know what I'm saying? But it's been well received, man. Like, over the last couple months, man, cats have been hitting me up in my inbox, man. I've actually had people contact me talking about they was walking away from the faith, and then they heard the show. You know what I mean? So, and it just really blessed them, and kept them from walking away from Christ and things like that. And it's opened up opportunities, man, for me to get out here and get some speaking engagements. I've got 3 in the month of February. The first one's actually next week. I've got my man Tim Allison up there in Bloomington, Illinois. You know what I'm saying? We're going to be doing the Black and Christian Conference. You know what I'm saying? So that's going to be Super Bowl Sunday, as a matter of fact. You know what I'm saying? I'll be speaking on Super Bowl Sunday, talking. So shout out to them up there. And then I'll be down there in ATL, man, February 16th and the 17th. Shout out to my man, Isaiah Robinson, Pastor Isaiah Robinson, excuse me. We're going to be down there. And, there's going to be a bunch of stuff, man. Damon Richardson is going to be there. Isaiah Robinson is going to speak. I'm going to do a couple lectures, so definitely looking forward to that. And, speaking of Hebrew Israelites, I'm just going to, oh, man, I shouldn't go here or not. I don't know. But, with that particular event, it's been some controversy, in regard to the Hebrew Israelites. Apparently some of them got wind of, the True Summit, and a decent number of them are going to be showing up, for, whatever purposes. I understand that it's been reported that they just want to come and observe. So that's, it is what it is, but, it's just very, those are just the types of things that are going on now that I'm sure you could even attest to, vocab, that we weren't seeing, maybe a year or 2 years ago. I'm saying the idea that you can have a Christian conference, for urban apologetics specifically. Right. And then, you got, 20 or so Hebrew Israelites that we know are going to be in attendance. It's just a very interesting situation, man.
Right.
So that's going to be, it's going to be fun.
Yeah. But, remember a year ago, they didn't know the difference between a Christian apologist or a Christian apologetic.
Yeah. Very much so. Right.
Yeah, right. I mean, this is how fresh this is. They were calling all of us Christian apologetics.
Apologetics, right.
Like your job was an apologetic. And some of them even thought it was a domination. They were like, you got the Baptist, the Methodist, you got the Presbyterians, you got the apologetics.
Right. But, it was interesting too, man. I don't, maybe this is the wrong time to throw it in here, but I'm just going to go ahead and say it. This is just something I've been thinking about, right? Because,
bring it out.
When you think about if you're a Hebrew Israelite, and it's not just them, I mean, this could probably apply to Kemetic or whatever else, right? Let's say that you are in church, right? And then you get a hold of this Hebrew Israelite thing. You're like, yo, man, bump the church. I'm out. You know what I'm saying? And then all of a sudden, 3 months down the road, 6 months down the road, you left out the church because you believed it to be the white man's religion. And then you come across somebody like one of us and be like, yo, bro, what about Tertullian? What about Augustine? What about Cyprian? And people who can really break down the African American roots, you know what I'm saying? That Christianity can tap into as well, that Christian heritage. I mean, it's like, then you like, dang, man, I missed a spot. Imagine how that might feel. You know what I'm saying? Like, you left out under the presumption that Christianity is a white man's religion, and then somebody comes along and can make cogent, solid arguments to the contrary. Now you got to be like, dang, you know what I'm saying? My whole reason for leaving the faith is a farce. It's false. You know what I'm saying? I think you have a lot of dudes, you know what I'm saying? I'm just be real. I think you have a lot of dudes who left out the church and they missed a spot. And then when they come across somebody like us, they're going to be even more, belligerent towards us because they don't want to be like, dang, man, I've been living any kind of way. I've been away from Christ for, years or whatever, and I was wrong. You know what I'm saying? They don't necessarily want to be that prodigal son because then they're going to be like, dang, man, I really messed up. They can, pride can come into play. Can come into play. And so I think you have a lot of people who are resistant to what we're trying to do because it's drawing their attention to some things that they miss, when they left out the church. And now they've got to confront the fact that, oh, you know what? I missed a spot. Maybe this Christianity thing really is, the real deal. And I left out for reasons that I now realize are illogical or based on, pseudo scholarship or what have you. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. What do you think about it? It's just something I've been thinking about, man. What do you think about that?
No, I definitely think there's some truth to that. And you can see by some of the reactions where they're surprised by some of the stuff we say, or they've never heard of it, or they've never seen anyone talk how we talk. But the thing is, we're not doing anything new. This specific area or field is a new area of interaction, but there's a long-standing tradition of Christian apologists interacting with the cultural movements around them and doing different things like that. And so we're just trying to be faithful in our little area as well. And so, but you could see a lot of them, they're like, well, and also some of them are surprised at sort of the diversity of thought within Christianity. It seems like some of them thought everything was prosperity gospel, hoop and holler or something like that. Right, and all of a sudden they hear about, reformed theology or, something else. And they're like, huh? This is they're brand new learning it. So I think there's some of that going on. Hey, somebody in the chat said, stop giving plugs. So just because you said that, I want to share some more plugs now. Can you guys see on my screen?
Hey.
Can you guys see it?
Right. I see it.
This is Adam Coleman's True ID podcast. See the website, everybody? Right there. Okay.
Appreciate the plug.
Just go on there. Yeah, just go on there. Check out True ID. Now, let me show you how dope Zoom is. Let me show y'all something dope that I could do. This is just killing me right here. Some of the stuff I can do. All right. Watch this.
That is dope.
I can take this little arrow, and I can put it all over the screen, and I can make it bigger and I can spotlight,
True.
I'm just trying to show you these different things that are pretty cool.
Dope. That is dope to bring people's attention to.
Yeah, it's like real cool. I can select, take the mouse, Anyways, the point is check out that. And then also there's something else I got to show you guys, which is we just mentioned the Truth joint, right? So let me show you the Truth Summit as well. All right, you guys see that? Yeah, setting the record straight. Okay, this is Cartersville, Georgia, February 16th. So it's not that far away. So if you're in Georgia, you definitely got to go. Great topics going to be discussed. What really happened at the Council of Nicaea? Who are the Hebrew Israelites and how should Christians respond to them? Consciously unconscious, the black unconscious community. Truth. Is Christianity a white man's religion? African roots of Christianity. The continuing danger of prosperity gospel, the genesis and impact abortion debate. So you see all that. So check that out. And so that just kind of shows. I don't think they heard a lot of that stuff before.
Nah, man. I'm telling you right now, bro. I'm going to be doing out of those subjects. I've got 2 sessions I'm going to be doing. One is the African roots of Christianity, and I'm also going to be dealing with is Christianity a white man's religion? And I put my next 5 paychecks on it. I guarantee you the majority of what I'm going to cover, most black Christians and Hebrew Israelites probably haven't heard. You know what I'm saying? And I'm gonna just say it like that. I'm just lay it out there like that. Because the thing of it is, it's funny, man. Like, I don't think they know how to interact with Christians who are actually well studied. You know what I'm saying? They don't really know how to interact with somebody who can go toe to toe with them just on history alone. You know what I'm saying? Just deal with history. I can talk about black history all day. You know what I'm saying? I guarantee. You know what I'm saying?
Being nice. Right. You're saying toe to toe, but honestly, how many of these Hebrew Israelites have you ran into who really know the first thing about church history, bro?
Right. I mean, I haven't met any. I haven't come across any, that I can think of. You know what I'm saying? I had to think about that. But Well, just the fact that I have to think that hard, I guess that kind of answers that question. But see, that's the kind of stuff I'm talking about, though. That's the kind of stuff I'm talking about. You know, there's so much information. And look, I agree with you. I'm gonna go back to what you said. I think that many, if not most, of these Hebrew Israelites that are former Christians, you know, or used to be in the church, however we want to term it. You know what I'm saying? Most of them probably identify Christianity with like, TBN and some of like the big name preachers and money, 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 all that kind of stuff. That's what they think Christianity is. And so when you meet somebody who's outside of that, I think much of the time they don't really know how to respond. I mean, I have cats come at me all the time, but like, yo, man, well, you rock with ABC preacher. He's a pimp preacher. You know what I'm saying? We don't rock with him. I'm like, cool, I don't rock with him neither. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't rock with him neither, And then it's like, oh, for real? It's like, nah. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm about the real gospel, And so a lot of these guys are rejecting Christianity based upon the caricature of Christianity that they experience. You know what I'm saying? And then they associate the real deal with this caricature and they continue to reject it. I'm like, man, you missed the spot.
And Creflo Dollar being, incorrect, heretical, fraudulent, okay. It doesn't make Hebrew Israelism true.
No, man, first of all, look, I'm going to just be straight up with you. I guarantee you right now, there's people that's probably watching this video right now that unfriended me from Facebook because how I was coming at preachers like Creflo Dollar and other money preachers. I got cats from my old church that don't even rock with me no more. You know what I'm saying? Like trust and believe. If you go back far enough, I got stuff where I'm going in harder on them cats than any of these Hebrew Israelites out here. For real. You know what I'm saying? So like when they bring stuff up like that, I'm like, okay, cool. Like it's like that don't mean nothing to me. You know what I'm saying? Okay, cool. You don't rock with Creflo? All right, we can agree on that. I don't rock with him neither. Now we still got to deal with this low Christology that you got. We still got to deal with the fact that you believe that only Hebrews can be saved. You know what I'm saying? Obviously not, they'll all believe that, but I'm pretty sure the majority or something like that. So, to your point, just because even if every TV preacher, alive is dead wrong about the gospel, that doesn't mean that Hebrew Israelism is true. It could be the case that both of y'all is wrong. You know what I'm saying? What we want to do is we want to come to the truth. What is the real deal? That's what it's all about.
Right. Hey, well, speaking of that, let me try to share my screen again one time. I hope we can get LaRon up in here. Hey, I want TVCO to join. I saw TVCO and Raquel and Cherry. Y'all need to come back. So I saw you in the chat. I don't know what's going on. What's up, Shield Squad? I mean, I'm happy to talk to these brothers. You know what I'm saying?
LaRon is the human highlight reel, man. That's the nickname I got for you, bro.
What's going on, man?
The human highlight reel. This cat LaRon go live more than anybody alive, dog.
Right?
I heard me.
Yeah. Hey, let me share something from Creflo Dollar that I don't know if everyone's seen. Can you guys see it? I want to see if you can hear it. All right, let's try this.
Oh man, yeah.
$5 million plane was too much. If they discover that there's life on Mars, they gonna need to hear the gospel, and I'm gonna have to believe God for $1 billion space shuttle because we got to preach the gospel on Mars.
Yo,
yeah,
that straight up, that is one of my favorite clips of all time, bro.
Yeah, that's wild.
Oh, hold on. It's yo, seriously. That is one of my favorite clips of all time. Here's so many reasons about it. What's going on is they criticizing Creflo Dollar, right? Because he's getting this fancy jet and he's asking for money and all this stuff for this jet, he needs, which is just ridiculous. And private jet. The way he defends himself partially is he says, if they discover life on Mars, you ain't seen nothing yet because I'm gonna ask for a lot because I'm gonna need a rocket ship to go to Mars because they're going to need the gospel of Mars. A few things about it. One is just owning a rocket ship as if that was possible. I don't think it qualifies you to fly it. You know what I'm saying? There's other training involved. And Creflo may be past the age of what is acceptable for astronauts. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Number one. Number two, as of date, no rocket ships could go to Mars that we have anyway. So that would maybe take you to the moon. You couldn't even get to Mars. So you'd have to have, you'd have to get one of those robots and they could play, I guess, a recording or something like that. But number three, if the Martians, let's just assume for a second they exist there. Okay. If the Martians do exist, like, like Marvin, right? And they need the gospel, then we can't send Creflo because Creflo ain't got the gospel.
Oh, snap.
He's going to be telling them, You need to believe God so you can get a brand new spaceship or something, right?
Oh man.
So we don't even want to send him anyway. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Y'all hear me?
Yeah. What's up, G-Con? Hey, you got something to say, man? We
G-Con.
just took a little break to make fun of Creflo since we brought him because that's one of my favorite clips. That thing is hilarious. But what's up, LeBron? You back?
Yeah, I just want to make sure, man, everything in the Facebook is going pretty good, man. And I'm sitting here just relaxing, man, listening to you brothers, man. We put out some information. I want to say, I think you came in. We talked about Deuteronomy 28 the other day.
Yeah, that was dope.
Yeah, man. We brought out some information, and so we also got a brother that's gonna be coming along. And he's from Team Osiris, and he deals with he has his degree in biology, I believe, a bachelor's degree, and that's cool for the most part. You know, it's not a doctor's or nothing, but you know, he knows his information, and so he's well studied in it. You know what I'm saying? And so I think that we're gonna have him to come on. Well, he's gonna be on this Sunday, and so you guys are gonna want to check that out because he's dealing with haplogroups and those things, and that's something that he's very familiar with. And he's on a whole nother level. You know, you would think that he had his doctors, but he's just bachelor's, and he hadn't had enough time to really go back because of situations. But for the most part, man, they know the brother who he is already. He gonna talk about E1B1A. He gonna talk about the haplogroup J1. I mean, with subclass J1, J2, also haplogroup JP209. You know, all of these haplogroups to show you how did, let's say, for instance, me and this brother right here, Scott Lang, let's say, for instance, we, me and him was related to each other. Look, Adam Coleman. If me and Adam Coleman was related to each other, if we was related to each other, right, we should share something. We should share, some genes, something genetically with each other. You know what I'm saying? And so how close we are, they can tell those by certain allele frequencies and sequences, within the genomes. And so I think that that's very important that we get off into that, because when you start looking at people that are, culturally tied to Israel around the world, we know that there was a lot of conversion and converts and here and there, from the time, when they was first dispersed and before then. And so when you look at these different cultures around the world that are saying that they are Jews, a lot of these cultures never even left those areas of Babylon or the Assyrian provinces or Roman provinces. They stayed in those areas, Elam. And so when we start looking at Revelations 11, it talks about a good amount of those Jews is going to be coming back to the land. And so when you look at those other cultures or those other Israelites in those areas, they keep those traditions to this day. So when you look at a lot of these guys, the Igbos and all of them guys, they got the culture, but genetically they should share something with other Jews around the earth. And what we have found out that when they do a DNA test with those Jews, those other Jews that are around the earth that have kept those things traditionally, and we can see biblical migrations and extra biblical sources, they all share something genetically with each other. And so when you look at that and you say, well, these guys been isolated here this whole time, they never came back during the far as the Babylonian after the Babylonian captivity. They never came back during the regathering. They stayed there. So we can look at these other groups and say, well, we see that they share something genetically with each other. Well, we just don't find that when we start dealing with a lot of the Igbos in West Africa. And I'm not trying to start anything, but Sunday, man, I want y'all to come and listen to the brother Ngozi. He's gonna come through, gonna drop some knowledge about genetics. I'm just gonna take a pen and a paper, and I'm just gonna sit back and just learn, because I'm new at it too, and I really want to learn a lot about it, because I think that we can definitely use that, especially when we got these guys who are, like to please the flesh and put confidence in the flesh. So we'll deal in that area with your silliness for momentarily. You know what I'm saying?
No doubt, man.
I'm tuning in for that. Yeah.
Hey, by the way, G-Con, can you make the settings on your Facebook Live video that you got on your personal page? Can you make it to where it's available for all public? Because right now, only your friends can see it. You know what I'm saying? Because that way it's more shareable. Because you can't share it except unless the person's your friend with other people. And we do want people to share it because people can watch right now live 2 ways. We're live streaming on YouTube and we're also live on Facebook. So both of those ways are available. And thank you, G-Con, for setting that up. So, hey, since Adam Coleman's the one in here, Adam, what do you think, man? Are you down to be the person whose channel we host this on next week? If not, if you're too busy, let me know. But I just think about it because we're trying to get one other Shield Squad member to be the person who hosts it next week. The way it would work is LeRon sets it up. You know, he uses the tech he's got and all that. And it'll be through your YouTube channel, though, or your Facebook Live and stuff. And then, so you can even pick the topic. I mean, we're trying to make them general ones that all a Shield Squad could discuss type of thing. But that's why we're starting off this one with a review of State of Hebrew Israelism in 2018. So just think about it. But we got to get somebody for next month to do this because we're going to do these once a month as a crew. So within that, I think we should look at some of these YouTube comments real quick. And
it's always fun. Yeah.
Yeah. Because I saw a couple people actually ask questions. Hey, what's up? I see G Checker in there. And somebody said the G-Con borrowed his grandma's black curtain from one of her windows to do the show today.
Hey, let me see, because they and what's crazy because they know I can get it in, man. So I don't even know what they
told me to. That's trusting Jesus. I think he's a friend.
Okay, yeah, that's brother. Yeah, that's brother Carlos. What's up, brother Carlos? I see you, man.
Yeah. Somebody wants us to maybe talk about the 400-year prophecy, perhaps, and then also we got. Hold up, I have another one that was missed that I saw earlier. Where to go? Oh yeah, we still got it. What's up? Hey, G-Con, can you invite TV CEO in here and Raquel back? We got to get them back in here.
I'm waiting. Yeah, I'm waiting for them to.
Okay.
The CEO is he on Facebook?
I see him live on YouTube commenting. At least I did.
Okay. Well, let me do this. Let me put him in the. Let me send this link out, and I'll put him in that way.
Can I say something about the 400 years? Are we gonna deal with that or?
Yeah, real quick. Hold up. Let me just look at some of these comments. G Checker says we look like the Brady Bunch. You remember how you said there's little squares, little boxes?
Yeah.
I'll go with that. That's all right. Sure. And then someone wanted to know if we see the Hebrew Israelites growing more and more with the splinter groups growing. And I think if we could, I want to answer that one, and then we'll get the other one. So because we're talking about the state of Hebrew Israelism in 2018. My general understanding is based on trends in the world right now and based upon other factors that I think we should take into account in the culture. I see Hebrew Israelism growing for a while, but I also see it splintering more and more as well. So I don't see the movement becoming more unified or anything like that. But as far as strictly numbers, I think you're going to see it grow. And I think as things like the Nation of Islam start to wane, I think you might even see more folks getting involved with Hebrew Israelism. When Farrakhan dies, I think it might be one of the better things that will happen for Hebrew Israelism, because I bet you might get some people go over there because it's becoming like the hot new thing in some of these prisons and things like that. And of course online, and now middle class folks are getting involved too, not just the GMS, yell at you in the street types. And so we see that. But like Pastor Eric Mason told me one time, he said these Hebrew Israelites were genetically manufactured to splinter. And what he meant by that is because they make everything the main thing. They make everything a big deal. They make everything, you've got to agree with me on this or else. Since they do that, they've made it where they're going to splinter unless they just try to control everybody and do thought police on everyone who doesn't agree. But that's not how people work, generally speaking. You know what I'm saying? I mean, a couple guys pull that off. Like you see the zombies for ISUPK, commanding General Yohanda under his authority, you know what I'm saying? And you see the zombies for ICGJC, talking about the other day I saw some in ICGJC. They said that Tazadaki was a prophet because a couple of years ago, during the election of Obama, he predicted that we would see an increase in the use of the N-word in the culture. And they said his prophecy came true. It's just really odd, man. But, those folks, but the thing is, they're going to splinter more. I mean, just last year, we're talking about the state of Hebrew Israelism in 2018. What happened in 2017? ISOC came out of Future World of Israel, and that's right there in your neck of the woods there, Adam Coleman. That's,
okay,
Virginia.
Cool. I didn't know that. Okay.
And there ain't really nothing left of Future World of Israel. They're kind of like the archived world of Israel. There's not really a whole lot left there. You know what I'm saying? it's like there's not much left. That last ISOC split kind of ripped everything else they had out, and ISOC's already, from what I see, bigger than Future World of Israel. And these are kind of Virginia more base camps. They don't seem like they're going to really be that good at expanding and whatnot. Versus like Sakara, you see them expanding in Texas now, and you see some of the groups growing. I got a text from somebody the other day talking about in Niles, Ohio, which is like a little small place around Cleveland. It's not even like talking about, hey, I ran into some Hebrew Israelites. So I'm starting to get these messages from people running into like little backwater places as well. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, we see an increase in growth, but we also see as we raise awareness and do exposure to this, that it's going to create more problems for them. And I think there's going to be a certain point where the conversion rate or whatever is going to slow down. And there's going to be some ready-made answers for them. And that we're just in the beginning stage of that. Once that's a lot more fully realized, it's going to really be a big, giant. We're going to be hitting the brakes on these Hebrew Israelites more and more. But just because of the way things are going, I still predict growth for a while. But they're going to top out. They have a certain place that they can top out for a few reasons. But they're definitely going to top out. You know, false prophecies, the constant fighting, the shady history, the message of exclusivity, the wild lack of regard for really any scholarly sources or a cogent hermeneutic or epistemology. These things are all going to eventually bite them in the foot. You know what I'm saying? But nonetheless, they're going to grow for a while because we're in a crazy era right now, 2018. People believe everything. So I don't know, Adam Cole, if you want to comment on that. I'm just trying to make sure we get in with some of these comments up in here.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think that I think you're absolutely right. I think we will continue to see that kind of growth, and it is due in part because so many Christians, particularly I'm thinking about leadership, are just really unaware of the Hebrew Israelites and what they're about. But I do think that as Christians become more sound and equipped, and which is what we're all about, then I think we are going to start to see that kind of a slowdown. But that being said, man, it's just I think that on the church side, what I'm saying? I think that it's a matter of we have to do a better job of reclaiming the full heritage, what I'm saying, of what God has done on the earth. You know what I'm saying? And what I mean by that is, excuse me, I'm sorry. What I mean by that is there's, God has done a multi-ethnic work in the world.
Right.
And I think the degree to which we embrace that, I'm saying, we will better equip ourselves to address this kind of backlash that, the church has gotten as a result of, the Europeanization, I'm saying, of at least in people's perceptions of the church. You about to pull out the library on us, bro?
Well, just I was reading a book today about the history of Christianity in Africa, and there's a lot of really good books on that topic.
Oh, sure.
Like, there's not just like one good book or one source. There's a lot of fantastic works, and of course, I'm focusing on the chapters in these books, mainly on West Africa. You know what I'm saying? I think people should understand how that's pertinent. So I'm really looking at the history of Christianity within West Africa. And, it's just amazing. This whole thing is fascinating to understand this more and more. And here's the thing, as we start to get into this more and understand this more, it's good news for the church and bad news for the Hebrew Israelites, because we're going to be sharing and showing what God has done historically. We're going to be sharing and showing how a lot of their claims don't hold up. And we're also going to be sharing and showing how it's relevant today. So this is the book I went to grab, Evangelicals Around the World. There's an estimated 600 million evangelicals in the world, crossing all social, political, and cultural boundaries. And the section on this handbook is great. It's super up to date. Like this book just came out, and it goes through history, and a lot of it has to do with missions. Christianity, it's true that colonialism is part of sort of the spread of general Christian ideas, for better or for worse, but that's such a limited view of how Christianity spread, because it's primarily persecuted in its history. And so it usually wasn't the reigning power. It's just that's what we know from the modern era. But there's a whole lot of history that happened before the modern era. And even that, Europe and the Western civilization is not the world. Meaning, even if Christianity, say, was dominant, let's say, for example, in Asia Minor at the time, for example, got to a place where it was real dominant in Turkey, with modern day Turkey at a certain point, or Syria. Well, that doesn't mean it was accepted in China. And yet the Syrian missionaries went into China and did great work. And there's still Christian Chinese communities from way back to Syrian missionary activity from like before the modern era, still in what's considered antiquity, before 500. And so that relates to now. And I'm just saying we're getting more into this. And what I've noticed is, again, and I'm not trying to be mean, but the more I really look into this, every time I do, it just shows more and more how a lot of the stuff the Hebrew Israelites say are simply incorrect, because they give a lot of incorrect information.
Yeah, I mean, and it's like you said, man. One of the things my wife will tell you, man. Sometimes I'll be sitting up reading a book, 11 o'clock, and I do most of my reading at night, and I'll just be mad because I'll come across them. I'm like, man, how were we not taught this? How do we not know this? You know what I'm saying? Like, just basic stuff. I'm telling you, over the last year or so, you know what I'm saying, I've been putting out a lot of content, doing the best I can to get apologetics information out there. I probably maybe only skimmed maybe 5%, maybe 10% of the resources that I have sitting in the crib right now. I mean, there's so much information out there. I mean, people that you've never heard of, who played pivotal roles in the church, straight up Africans, man, going back for millennia. And like you said, the thing is, and I'm convinced of this, man, the only way that you can think Christianity is the white man's religion is if you adopt a Eurocentric lens of history and church history. That's the only way you can do it. Yeah. If you take church history, what it is. Oh, go ahead, LeBron.
And what's crazy about that too, because when you start looking at a lot of studies of like Middle Eastern, or let's say Near East, because I know a lot of people don't like to say Middle East, but if you start looking at the culture itself is not even anything European. When you start looking at some of the customs, you can tell already that these customs are not European at all, because they're laws that we see that proceed back from Sumer and the Uruk cultures and stuff like that. Near East cultures that we see, you don't really too much see in the European cultures, the European people. And so when we look at that, like even with that, when people start saying that means that they culturally, Sam, they're not really looking at a lot of things that we see in these people, what they have, as well as historically. Like, because when you look at the historical content of what in certain books that we see, none of these things that they claim to be white is actually there. These are customs from people that that are from Far East and Near East customs, and also in the Levant area. So it gets kind of ridiculous after a while, to when you hear those claims, you're like, nah, bro, that's not even true. Like, where do you find this custom at? So when they started even looking at like modern day slavery, or when we looked at, with slavery, in the 1500s to 1800s in that time or whatever, when you even look at that type of slavery, it's not even really the same thing. You know what I'm saying? They're taught customs to where you're not to steal slaves. You know what I'm saying? You're not to steal what we call servants or indentured servants, or people that's working to pay their way, and how taxes was established, for working, for policing the communities and stuff like that. Those things that we see is certain things that we adopted as Westerners, as well as we established them, or Westerners established them just as well too. But those are a lot of Middle East and Near East and Far East customs. But it's getting ridiculous after a while.
Yeah, man, too, brother G-Con, too. When you think about looking at the New Testament, right? When you think about the groups that are considered to be barbarians or whatnot, now this is not a diss against any people group, you know what I'm saying? But at that era of history, you're looking at the first century, even the second century, some of the folks they're talking about are what we would call like Western Europeans. You know what I'm saying? That's just a fact of the matter. Like, they they were considered to be barbarians at the time. And that's not a diss or anything like that. It's just a historical fact. You see what I'm saying? Now, what's my whole point? Fam, the Bible was written in its entirety for centuries before it became entrenched and settled, or Christianized, Western Europe. That's just a fact. So when people talk about, is the white man's religion, like, fam, how? Christianity had been in Africa flourishing for at least 4 centuries. I think I'm being generous, for at least 4 centuries before, like, any of the nations, like England, Spain, Portugal, the nations that enslaved African people before they even existed. So like, what are cats even talking about? What are guys even talking about? You know, but again, I think what happens is people are just not studying the history. You know what I'm saying they just saw a meme, or they've been listening to YouTube X or whatever. You know what I'm saying, and just and not really taking this stuff seriously. And I'm be honest with you. I'm be honest with you. One thing I realized, and I think I myself overlooked this, but we can't underestimate the emotional content behind some of this backlash that Christianity is getting. You know what I'm saying? I know that may sound overly simplistic, but ultimately, a lot of folks, they didn't leave because they found out X, Y, and Z facts about Christianity. They left because they weren't trying to be a Christian no more. You know what I'm saying? They wanted to do what they wanted to do. You know what I mean?
Right.
And they just use, this pseudo scholarship and whatever as fuel for the fire that was already there. You know what I'm saying? I'm be straight up. It's cats in the conscious community that was living, maybe he was living a homosexual lifestyle. I'm not saying it's everybody. I'm just saying that, there's people that's living a certain lifestyles that they know is not in line with scripture, and they found themselves an escape route through the conscious community. It's just that simple. You know what I'm saying? So, the reality, it's not just, oh, yo, I was studying and I came across this knowledge and now I'm not a Christian no more. Come on, man. Come on, man. That's not the case with everybody. I'm not
Right.
saying, I'm just saying.
Yeah, and so when you start looking at and we see some things that went on in the church, but when you see those things, it make you, especially if you're in the word, you like, I'm not gonna do that, because I see what the word is saying, and I see that, what can happen by doing that, and what this word is saying. You know what I'm saying? And so when you do see that, you don't use that to make you just say, well, I'm gonna stop going, or I'm just gonna bail out. And that goes for people who are because there's no excuses when you stand before God. When we stand before God, He's not going to want to hear you say, "Well, I seen how LaRon was acting, or I seen how Vocab or Adam Coleman was acting." He don't want to hear that, because you can seek yourself. When it comes to, you want to seek a relationship with a man or a woman, you doing that. You want to get to know them, and want to identify with them, and get intimate with them. Why can't you share a relationship with the one who made you, the creator? You know what I'm saying? And so, you can take time forever you want to take, whatever you want to take time to. You took time to put your eyelashes on and get dressed and put your shades on. Ain't no sun out, but you got the shades on. You in the club, you doing what you want to do. You don't think about where do you go down the line, or the afterlife, or what has God called you to do? What is your purpose? You know what I'm saying? None of those things. And so you think that your purpose is just running around every day, you partying, and and that may not be for everybody, because then you got some people that just in their mindset to where their thing is to where to disprove God. If you're an atheist or whatever the case may be. But bottom line is this: is that you can seek everything else that you want to do. Why not seek the creator? Why not? Every one of us, even scientists, question, where do we come from?
Sure.
And they may not all come to the same consensus on certain things, or but for the most part, that is a question. Where do we come from? Where do we go when we die? Why are we here? What are we supposed to do while we're here? And so if you're not asking those questions in your life, then you're disconnected, and you need to get plugged in. You need to ask God and say, God, the Holy Spirit, or whatever if you don't know Him, you need to just kneel down before Him and say, I want to know you. I want to know who you are, and begin to read this book and study it for yourself. When you go before a judge, right? And I'm just going to say this last thing. When you go before a judge, if you wanted to prove something, you don't go in there without your evidence on proving something. You go in there with your evidence. Mm-hmm. And so a lot of people, they go and they look at this book, or they don't even really read it all, and they try to build a case against it, and when you look at the information or the evidence that the evidence not even solid. It don't even hold up. You didn't read a couple of scriptures, or you didn't see what people been doing in the church, and I would admit the majority of the people that's in church today is tripping. You know what I'm saying? They're tripping, and that's just like the majority of the people in the world today. But it's for us to look and say, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do the right thing. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that goes to, we was talking about to kind of tie it back in with the the state of the Hebrew Israelites in 2017 or whatever. And vocab, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems to me that, or at least I wasn't aware of like some of these videos coming out where you have like an ex-pastor, you know what I'm saying? Like you had a guy, I think he was down in Texas or something like that, and he gave over his church to
Yeah.
whichever group, you know what I'm saying? Like that seems to be like a thing, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think, in one of the videos that with that gentleman, I can't remember his name, but he was talking about how you had shady pastors doing this, that, and the third. And, he was supposedly exposing, what's going on in the church, as if that's every church. But my thing is this, man, like, certainly there are people out there all over the place robbing other folks. I'm saying in the church, out of the church, wherever it may be. But to LaRon's point, when I stand before God, he's not gonna be like, yo, man, you saw what that pastor did, man? Shoot, yo, that was messed up. Like he gonna be looking at me. What did you do with the gospel? You know what I'm saying? What did you do with the revelation that I made available to you? You see what I'm saying? What did you do with it? That's what he's gonna ask. Now, I can't be like, yo, man, I left the church because they had a white Jesus picture in there. You know what I'm saying? Like, I walked away from Christ because they had a white Jesus hanging up in the foyer or something like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, you mean to tell me that you walked away from the bloodshed cross, the bloodshed on the cross because of a picture? I'm saying because of Caesar Borgia or whatever, whatever what people want to say. Silly, man. I mean, you got to give an account for your soul, bruh. You got to give an account for your soul, man. You know what I'm saying? And like, I know a lot of times, I'm real laid back. I like to crack jokes and all that kind of stuff, but this is serious business, bro. This is serious business. You know what I'm saying? Like at the end of the day, what we're dealing with is life and death, eternally, life and death. And I'm sorry, ain't not one white man walking the earth. There's not one white slave master. You know what I'm saying? That's worth my salvation. It's that simple. You know what I'm saying? I want to know the truth. You know what I'm saying? I'm in this gospel. You know what I'm saying? The reason why I'm a Christian has nothing to do with, Bull Connor or slave masters or whatever. It's because Jesus is real. You know what I'm saying? He really is who the Bible says he is. You know what I'm saying? And I follow the apostolic doctrine. You know what I'm saying? It's just the truth. Anyway.
Yeah, check it out. Let me read some of these comments real quick. Interact with this, mainly from Frank Vada. Here's what he says. Western Christianity is European, started by Luther and Calvin. Liars. Historian, listen to ... historian on deck. You are Western Christianity, created in the 1500s that backed slavery. You are not the Church of the East. The Templars found your sect for Amsterdam after being kicked out of Europe.
Hey, yo, Vocab, you want to school him on Calvin and Augustine? You want to talk to him about how want to talk about Augustine and the Reformation? Since he's a historian, right? So he should know that that you got to trace the Reformation back to Augustine, right?
Yeah,
Augustinian thoughts, I should say.
There's even a quote that says the Reformation was a battle on the playground of Augustine's mind, meaning each side kind of claimed they were in line with Augustinian thought because they thought that Augustinian thought was biblical. And it is true if you read or listen to Calvin, but not just Calvin, a lot of the reformers, but Calvin excelled at this. They're constantly going to patristic sources as well as scripture. When I say patristic sources, that means so-called early church fathers. I prefer the term early church writings because fathers is kind of a strange term, but they're the early church writings that we have. And one of those is Augustine. And Augustine, as previously mentioned by my brother Adam, was a North African early church writer. He's a bishop he spent time in Hippo and Carthage. So that's what's up with that. And if you look, he had the strand of what we might call a strong deterministic view, for example, but he also had a very pastoral theology as well, and did a lot interacting and helping people understand really what the anthropology of the Bible is. So, because he had to interact with with Pelagius, a British monk who taught that there was no original sin and things like that. And so as he interacted with that, he hashed out a doctrine of total depravity, not necessarily called that, but really just explicating what the Bible had to say about the state and nature of mankind. Everybody from David in Psalm 51 to Paul in Romans, till you go down the list, it's clear man is a sinner in need of redemption and salvation. And we do have this taint of sin in us, in our nature, and that's why it shows up in our actions. And so, that is a big part of the Reformation. And so Western, if you want to call it Western, Christianity, if you want to refer to that way. Although the Reformation, had implications for global Christianity, really. Nonetheless, a lot of it owes its debt to African Christianity in a lot of ways, in a certain sense, if you want to put it in those terms. But I mean, the whole thing is wild because the brother said that our sect was found by the Templars, like the Knights Templars, like Da Vinci Code type stuff.
Yeah.
Historian on deck.
You can't claim to be a historian on deck and then hit me with the Templars, bro. I'm sorry.
And it's like this.
Come on, dog. Hey, what are we doing?
Frank Vada, aka every time we see Frank Vada, we should say historian on deck.
Historian on deck.
But historian on deck. Check it. You said you're not the Church of the East.
Right.
Again, that's an odd statement. If you mean that we live in a westernized culture or something like that, okay, I guess. But it's funny, like when me specifically, I attend an Arabic Baptist church, and the people there are Syria and Assyrians, and they even speak, some of them, Neo-Aramaic, meaning that old language that Christ actually spoke, you know what I'm saying? Except the newer version of it, not the ancient Aramaic. But I mean, it's similar actually, you know what I'm saying? It's like Old English, and then the English we speak now. That's kind of a rough approximation of the differences, meaning most of us can make our way to an Old English text. I mean, not the original version of Beowulf, say, but a medieval text from Britain we can understand by and large. Anyways, my point is that I go to what is sort of a Church of the East, not in the sense of Assyrian Orthodox or something like that, but in the sense
Nestorianism or something.
Yeah, not that, but in the sense of the people ethnically are from the East. The people there ethnically, that's their stock. They speak Arabic. It's a bilingual congregation, and they've been persecuted. And a lot of the people that I do Muslim evangelism with are also Christians whose ethnic background is from the East. A lot of Egyptian Christians, a lot of Christians from Iraq. That's the main. Most of the Christians I know from the Middle East are from Iraq originally. Some of them end up in Sudan, but there's or places like that. But we're talking a lot of Christians from Iraq, and that's mainly who I work with. So, it's true. But because even though our culture is different, I didn't grow up speaking Arabic, for example. You know what I'm saying? I'm an Italian kid, basically, or whatever from the Midwest. We relate because we have the same gospel. And so, I'm learning about their food and I'm learning some Arabic phrases. But the key thing why we can relate as brothers and sisters is because we have the same gospel. I mean, there's some beautiful traditions there. Like, for example, sometimes people have heard women in the Middle East when a certain situation is happening. I don't know if you guys have heard, there's sort of a thing they do that it's a specific to Middle East females that's supposed to portray like excitement, kind of like I don't know if you've heard that. Now, I'm not doing it in a mocking way. I'm just trying to relate to it. Here's why I say that. When we do baptisms at our church, the first time I heard this, I was like, oh, this is the coolest thing. Right when the participant comes up out of the water, all the women in the church do that together as a sign of excitement. And it's like the coolest thing. It's like an extra layer of adulation in relationship to a newly baptized Christian. And I just love it. And they're very specific. Like everybody always wears white. They kind of have more of a specific kind of way they do things in relation to baptism. And it's just a beautiful thing to see, and the excitement that's there. And so I'm just making the point that, man, this Christianity is so global. And that's why I can meet an English-speaking Nigerian. I say English because it's hard to speak if you can't speak English. But I'm speaking to him in English, and we have so much in common from jump with this man. I have more in common with this English-speaking Nigerian than I ever would with the white atheist down the block or the conscious guy down the block because of worldview issues. And the culture stuff, we can bridge and work all that out as long as the mainstream white evangelicals, for example, understand they need to learn other people's cultures and kind of as long as they learn that, we're all good basically. But I'm just making the point, and this type of information is what Hebrew Israelites, it's damaging to their case really, and it's beautiful to talk about. So we're going to be talking about more of this stuff and seeing more of this stuff. We're not going to leave Western African Christianity alone. We're not going to leave global Christianity alone. We're going to be pushing it, talking about it, exciting about it, talking about the history of the Black church in America besides Martin Luther King. I mean, I'm glad people know Martin Luther King. That's good. But if you look at my YouTube channel, I recently put out a video it's called Black Christians You Don't Know Besides MLK. I'm glad people know King, but like there's such a rich history there. And, people talk about Calvin and Billy Graham and everyone in between. That's fine. but not at the expense of leaving out the others. And part of what we're doing to do as Shield Squad, little by little, everybody, is bringing that out.
Right.
And so that's going to be a beautiful thing for the church and really bad for Hebrew Israelism because it starts to take away, it pulls the rug out from under their feet. And so you guys.
That's one thing I like about Shield Squad too, man, is the fact that, you know, just within Shield Squad itself, we have representatives of different parts of the body. I mean, like
Right.
not everybody subscribes to, you know, Reformed theology. Not everybody subscribes to, you know, whatever it is that I hold to. Like we all have different perspectives. It's not just this one monolith, this one, you know, thing. But at the same time, we are one in Christ. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, we have differences. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, and that's fine. You know, and so when this guy said, oh, well, Western Christianity is this or Western Christianity is that, what he's telling me is he doesn't understand Christianity. That's what he's telling me. You know, because if he did, he would know better than to just lump everybody in under, you know, one particular category, you know. But I think that the Shield Squad is a testament to the fact that Christians can look different, think different, you know, and, you know, have different swag and different type of things. At the end of the day, there's the unifying factor of Christ, his shed blood, and the essentials of Christianity. And I see you smirking. There must be another crazy comment.
Yeah,
but, you know,
he's interacting now. He's
okay.
Templar bankers funded the break from the Catholics. Your sect is funded by a banker. The Reformation was a setup. Templars with all that money were upset with the Roman Church. And then he put again, historian on deck.
Historian on deck. Man, come on, man. All right, bro.
I kind of like him though. Maybe it's like he's like, okay, but then right after he says, "I'm listening to the liars." So come on, man. Come on, Frank.
Bro. Come on, man.
Come on, historian on deck. Why you got to say that for? But you know what? You're right. You know, because diversity is like a popular word, even within evangelicalism right now. But diversity doesn't just mean, you know, black, white, brown, you know, yellow, red, pass it around. Right. Diversity also has to do with diversity of thought and ideas. And we're not just different ethnicities in Shield Squad. We're different. We have some different theological things we hold to. And that's because that's the body. We don't have to make everyone think we got the big issues right. We know that, but you don't see us arguing, acting crazy in public. You know what I'm saying? Like, and the ideologies don't always match with the ethnicity. Meaning, you know, there's things I agree more with Brother Adam Coleman on than maybe Brother Nissen Cran on. And Nissen Cran, you know, I'm just saying it's really, but it's all good, man, because the gospel's the key, and we don't have to like smash everything down.
The love, right? Exactly.
Right. And like right now, for instance, right, you know, and I definitely respect the brother, man, but I just think that he's diving off, you know, head first into some silly stuff. Zadok Ben Israel, man, you know, he posted in the group, you know, and you can kind of see that which I already stated from the beginning. I kind of already knew, you know, that, you know, these brothers, man, when they get to really like banking on Israel or really doing things according to the flesh a lot, far as putting their confidence in the flesh, you can kind of see where they lean into, because anybody that's tripping and saying, well, I'm Israel or this and that, and that's really not what God is really calling you to do. He's calling you, you know, to worship him in spirit and truth, but you're making this big deal about you being Israel, and then you sneaking like little stuff in there. You know, there's a problem with that. And so when we see these guys posting stuff just to prove that there are this people, and deny the people that's in the land and say, well, they're not this people, you know what I'm saying? And try to blackwash everything. Now, me personally, I believe that there are Israelites that are in every color, because Israel went almost to every nation almost. So I believe that, you know, you have Israelites that look European descent, you know, because they went up there to West Europe. You got those that, and actually, when you actually look at the haplo groups, like when you look at what is it, R1B, a lot of them have E1B1. B, we can see that, you know, they was in North Africa. Then we can see the migration of the little E1B1B that's in West Africa. And then you start seeing also a little bit of J1 over there, showing you that J1 is the origin of J1 comes out of Iran and Iraq, but it migrates a little bit over into West Europe. And so when we start looking at these haplogroups and start looking at E3 and these different things, we see that these very haplogroups are among these other Jews. And so we can see their migrations. And one thing we don't see is that when we start doing, like I said, we start looking at West Africa. If you feel, we know that these people went around the world converting everybody, whether you was a Jew, whether you was a Christian or Islam. When we seen Islam pushing from the east, going to North Africa, they pushed hard.
Then they start pushing it to West Africa. So this didn't just happen all during this time of 1500 to the 1800s. This has been happening before then. We know what happened before then for us, the history. And so when we start looking at it, you got these guys that put like these pictures out and clips of stuff and say black Jews. We don't have a problem with that because we see that, but we're telling you we know where they at basically. In other words, we seen the Booba, I believe, what is it? Ethiopian Jews come forth and some Moroccan Jews, and we seen them actually take and they have what you call they have J1C3.
Yeah,
they have markers, and so they have a Cohen markers, and some of them have T markers. And so when we look at these guys that got the markers, we're not saying that there's no black Israelites. We're not saying that. What we're saying is that the ones that are claiming to be Israel, and if you say that you're Israel culturally or whatever the case, the next thing you need to do is take a DNA test, because you should genetically tie up and line up with the other Jews around the world. Because these guys, and what it is you guys are blackwashing everything. You guys get to talking about the Europeans and they whitewash, and then you come right behind them and start blackwashing it, just like the Juggy guy and say you just take black and just dip it on everything. That's just crazy, man. It doesn't make any sense, man. Nah. And so that's bad scholarship. You know what I'm saying? And so when we look at, I respect the brother Zadok, but I see that this guy that was a moderate is leaning hard. And you know what I told him today? I said, Zadok, you're I think that was yesterday or today. I said, you're
Captain Saver.
Captain Saver Hebrew, you know what I'm saying? And so that's what we see as Ron Shields is supposed to have been this moderate. Then we found out later on that this brother got a little with one West in him, you know what I'm saying? So then we look at Zadok Ben Israel, and I asked him, I said, what are you trying to prove? Are you trying to prove an identity of Israel, or are you trying to identify Christ? And that's very important. And so even when we had James White that told Ron Shields, he said, what is it more important, to be a Israelite, or what did he say, or to be in Christ? What did he say, vocab? He said something of that sort.
I think,
and it was,
it wasn't the answer almost like it's equally important or something like that. I forgot.
Yeah, and I'm just like, wow. Bro, like, and so it gets really terrible, man, all the way. And so I respect the brother Zadok, but like I say, bruh, you're gonna have to have a sit down with me, bruh. And that's something that I feel like that you have not done. You know what I'm saying? You sat down with vocab, you know, and vocab is a great apologist. He's definitely way better than what I can be, because he knows the history of those things. I only know partially. I'm really getting off into these things, but there are some things that I want to tackle with you, you know, that you're not, you know, that has not been dealt with yet. You know, the vocab wouldn't come at you like that because he tried to keep it peaceful. He's a peaceful guy. Yeah, and I'm peaceful too. But I'm just gonna come direct at you, bro. Just to be honest, bro. I'm coming direct. I don't want you to get offended, you know. But bro, you need to be set down, fam, like for reals, because you're saying stuff you don't know about. You talked about the J1 markers. You talked about the J2 mark. You talked about the J markers in general, when you don't know anything about those stuff, bro. So just sit down, learn this Sunday. I'm learning too. But you just got off into this thing yesterday, and you think you know it today.
Right, no doubt. Well, you know, you make good points. Like, you know, you mentioned like the Falasha in Ethiopia and some of the other groups that seem to have a legitimate pedigree. Today, I was looking at some of the folks who are part of, for example, the Igbo. There's certain clans within the ethnic group of the Igbo who claim Israelite identity. But genetically, so far, it hasn't panned out. But even with that, here's what's interesting about it. The Igbo that do claim ethnic identity is Israelites. I've never heard Israelites mention this because they always talk about the Igbo. Those guys claim they're from Gad, Zebulon, and Manasseh. Those are the three tribes they claim. So for a one Wester, that's a dead end for you, because you can't have them being Manasseh or Gad or Zebulon. You think Gad is Native Americans. So, like, why do these one Westers, for example, bring up the Igbo as if it's relevant to their thesis? First of all, they're still in Africa, so they didn't fulfill Deuteronomy 28:68. Second of all, what they do claim doesn't even match your chart. You know what I'm saying? When you look at what they actually say about themselves. Well, thirdly, the DNA evidence at this point for the Igbo hasn't borne fruit. For the Limba, it has, and for some of the Ethiopians, it has, whatever. But I'm just saying. So we got to get into that. And, you mentioned Zadok and Divine Prospect. I do think that was one of the most interesting things that we saw in 2017 was the interaction between the moderates and the more hardcore One Westers and how that related to Christian apologetics, because it seemed like the mentality in general was circle the wagons, boys. Circle the wagons. You know what I'm saying? You guys know what I'm talking about by that?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's it seems correct to me. At the end of the day, I think that was very clear, and it's not necessarily new, but I guess maybe it's just been more apparent. But the unifying factor among those who claim to be Hebrew Israelites is we are Israel. You know what I'm saying? That's the unifying point, because whether it's it seems to me, I could be wrong. Anybody can correct me, but I can see, Torah only cats who don't, or just say this, let's say there's non-messianics. I'm saying we'll get down with messianic cats. You know what I'm saying? Because we still Israel, you know what I mean? And then vice versa. And it doesn't seem to be, unless it's going on behind closed doors, maybe, but it doesn't seem that one is really engaged in correcting the other, but so much. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, it's like, yo, if we Israel, then we on the same squad. Now these other Christian cats, you know what I'm saying, we got to handle that. And then, we'll get back to, scrapping it out however we've been doing. But, you know what I mean? At the end of the day, being an Israelite seems to be the central factor rather than Christ at the end of the day. And to me, that's problematic, because the entire New Testament, as far as I can tell, when you look into, the nature of how it is that we are of one fellowship and one body, it all revolves around Christ. But that doesn't seem to be the case, in the Hebrew Israelite community. Anybody can correct me if I'm wrong, but, I'm just saying from where I sit, it seems to me that being an Israelite is more important than being of Christ.
No doubt.
More unifying, rather.
That's the principle to unify around. And shout out from Mariah G. She brought up how, even like we talked earlier about the influence of the reformers and global Christianity. And, Martin Luther King Jr.'s name is testament to that. You know what I'm saying? Like his original birth name was Michael King Jr. Pops changed the name to Martin Luther King in relationship to Martin Luther, the reformer. And so, you do see that because Christians influence each other. Now, someone had a question earlier that I thought we should get to before we close out here. How to do it. What are some essential talking points that we should touch on if you're planning on witnessing to a Hebrew Israelite in person, but you only have a limited time? Maybe some like things to avoid, for example, if we could answer that, because that relates to the state of Hebrew Israelism in 2018. So real quick, maybe Adam, if you got one thing to share on that, do or don't.
Hey, I wanted to get to that 400-year prophecy.
We could do that. Okay.
But that's cool though. What was the question again?
Do's and don'ts when witnessing to Hebrew Israelites in person with limited time.
Yeah, you know what? I think the best thing to do is to listen. You know what I'm saying? If you have somebody who's willing to engage with you in a rational conversation, right? Then don't make assumptions as to, what they believe, because there's all kinds of different Hebrew Israelites. You know what I'm saying? They pound that home all the time. They have different beliefs. They have different, there's a variety. And so take time to understand the person that you're dialoguing with. You know what I'm saying? Get a perspective as to what exactly they believe. And then that'll help you to kind of gear how you want to engage them better. And then I'm gonna be honest with you, everybody would necessarily agree with this, but personally, I'm not so much interested in going back and forth with somebody over whether or not they believe that they're Israel. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying it's not an important point, but for me, the first thing I'm going to do is go to what are the essentials of the gospel? Who do you believe Christ is? You know what I'm saying? What's the nature of God? We're talking Trinitarian, Unitarian, what? You know what I'm saying? Who can be saved? You know what I'm saying? Those kind of things. I'm gonna start as central to the gospel as possible, right? And then we can kind of work our way out from there. Because quite frankly, and again, everybody would agree, but if you have a wrong belief about your ethnicity, that's not going to send you to hell.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That's, it's just not, right? So I'm going to start with the stuff that's most crucial, and then I'm going to work my way out from there. You know what I'm saying? And then, but that being said, if you are dealing with one of these Hebrew Israelites who are, pushing some false prophecy, that might be something that you might want to check them on. Be like, yo, you said that in 2019 we're supposed to be out this joint. Now it's, we still here, fam. Like, what's up with that? And you don't, and it's just one of those things where it can draw attention and say, dag, man, at least kind of let me rethink, you know where I'm coming from here, you know. But I don't know if you want to come back to that 400 year thing or not, but you know.
We will, but hey, LeBron G. Con, what was one thing you would say, do or don't, if you was going to share the gospel with a Hebrew Israelite in person with limited time?
I think that for the most part, you know, always know that you're dealing with people that are still very carnal in the flesh. So, you know, you got to know how to move out there. You know, you can't get to where you start screaming at these guys, you know, antagonizing them and stuff like that. You know, that's something that you just don't do. You know what I'm saying? Um, Above all, you know, you want to be peaceable and have a great dialogue with them. You know, I like to have a clear, good dialogue with them. I don't want to be screaming and yelling, and then, you know, he get to calling me names and I'm calling him names, because from then on right there, like, you already know what time it is with that. You know what I'm saying? Like, you get in the flesh, and don't think that you so strong that you can't get into the flesh with somebody. So I think there's some of the things that you don't do. Now, the things that you should do is
there's an old rap song from Christian hip hop history where they had the funniest line, and they were talking about like how they just got saved out the streets and how like people still try to test them in the streets. And this Christian rapper said this is his old school Christian rap, but I love this because it's about what you're talking about. He said, here's what he said. He said, "Don't think I won't sin, because I still fall in sin, and I might fall in sin with your chin."
Right.
That was one of your old lines.
Yeah. Nah, that's Gospel Gangsters.
Oh,
Gospel
yeah.
They had a song, Vengeance is Mine.
Gospel Gangsters, yeah. Okay.
I still fall in sin. I might fall in sin with your chin.
Right. And so you definitely got to be careful of that, you know, because like I say, we can easily get in the flesh. And so those are some of the things you don't do. You keep it calm. You know, you pull one of them to the side. Hey, brother, I'd like to talk to you. Or if they want to talk and engage, because a lot of them want to engage in the conversation with you, you know. And so you do that, you know what I'm saying? And you engage with them, you talk to them, keep it clear. You know, I think the vocab said that some of them don't like to be filmed. I don't want you to put the camera on. And so, you know, me personally, you know, like in that situation, you know, I would put the camera on them, but then at the same time, I got to do what the words say. You know what I'm saying? Like sometimes people get offended, and if they get offended at that, and so you can live more peaceable, you know, and not be, you know, getting into it with these guys. And the best thing to do is just, you know, put the camera down and start talking to other people, or let somebody else hold the camera. Somebody else might want to, you know, film or whatever. And we want to definitely get some footage so we can show what's going on out there on these streets, even though they show it themselves. And like I say, you know, we didn't vocab didn't have to go around, and he didn't have to basically go talk to the elders of these camps and the ones that was passed on and died or whatever the case may be, or even some of them that he could not reach. You know, everything that they did was on YouTube. Everything they talked about, everything, the false prophecies, all of that stuff was there. And so only thing he did was gather all that data together and just used it and put it in his book. And so, you know, I don't know why people think that you have to go and go and actually go talk to these people when what they're putting there is on YouTube. And the only thing you go to confront these people with is, look, you said this around this timestamp. What do you mean by that? You know, would you like to discuss that? And keep it peaceful. You know, always keep your facial expression. Make sure it's not really where you curled up here, and because then once they start feeling that hostility, then it can turn some type of way. So I think that's the best thing, what to do. You know, make sure you sharpen the scriptures, because they're sharp when it comes to pulling them up. They got the precept package. We're gonna have to do a show on the precept package where we just talk about the precept package.
Yeah,
you know, because they got that.
We should also do a show, actually. That's a good show. I don't think we've ever done, like, how to share the gospel with a Hebrew Israelite. You know what I'm saying? Like, we never even done that. That's, like, an important basic thing we probably should do. And then we could talk about, like, in a family situation, in a, say, maybe at your church, somebody's getting into a situation, at your work where you might see him again, out on the street, online, and in that situation where you don't know for sure if you'll see him again. Like the other day, I was in the grocery store, I saw this dude with fringes. I said, "Hey, what camp you in?" He looked at me like, "What?" Because you know, as someone asked him what camp you in, we talked a little bit, got the information, trying to meet up with them. We'll see what's up. So like, there's different contexts. I think that does make a difference. You know, that's a great topic we should do, but everybody wants to talk about his 400 years thing. And we do have a guy came Cayman Island 20 that's pushing it, it looks like. And he says, do you believe in the 400-year captivity prophecy according to Acts 7, 6 and 7, Deuteronomy 30, 1 through 6, etc.? If you believe in that prophecy, then we are coming close to the end. Praise Yah. And then he says, scriptures clearly teach that Abraham's descendants will be in a foreign land for 400 years before judgment takes place, and this captivity is not the same as the Egyptian captivity. So there's somebody in the group that is they're it seems like they're promoting it from what I could tell from what the comments say right there. And so here's what we're referring to real quick. Let me stop real quick and I'll explain what it is, and I'll let Adam Coleman, because he's been dying to talk about it.
I just think it's interesting, man. It's fascinating. Yeah.
Jamestown, Virginia, 1619. They brought some slaves with them. So under certain reckonings or recollections or understanding, that marks the beginning of African, now they wouldn't call it African, they would call it Israelite captivity in the new Egypt, the house of bondage that is America. In fact, I saw a Hebrew Israelite post today, and they took $1. Hey, this is too classic. Do I got it on me? Oh, I don't got a shoot. I wish I had a $1 on me. So they took $1, and on the back they circled in a black marker the pyramid, and they put first captivity, and they wrote it on the dollar, and then they circled the eagle, and they put an arrow, and they put second captivity. So they're saying like the dollar shows the two captivities. You know what I'm saying? The first one in Egypt and the second one in America. Anyways, so the claim is this, that since the Bible talks about like a 400-year captivity, it seems in some places, they're saying since this is what we're doing and it's not the same one as Egypt, that means the end of the captivity, and when the Exodus would begin, that judgment where, Yahweh Shai comes back and does his thing, would have to be 2019. So that's that 400-year prophecy that some Hebrew Israelites talk about or hold to. Some will allude to it. Others are skittish. Others are trying to stay away. They got burnt by the year 2000, kind of like the J-Dubs. They pushed that 1914 real hard back in the beginning, of the 20th century. But then when it didn't come to pass, they had some other prophecies. They had 1976, and they pushed that one real hard. They had some other ones in between, but then they kind of started backing away from pushing the date setting too hard. You know what I'm saying? It's like after you get burnt once or twice, sometimes they learn, sometimes they don't. But anyway, so that's that 400-year prophecy that sometimes you'll see. I remember one guy asked, I said, do you believe the 400-year prophecy? And I laid it out, and he said, no. And then we were talking, and about 5 comments later on Facebook, he's like, I believe in the 400-year prophecy. So I was like, he just didn't want to say it at first. And I was like, what? Why didn't you just tell me in the beginning? But Adam Coleman, you got something to say about that?
I got something to say.
Yeah, before hold on, Adam Coleman, because
okay.
I don't. Before you, I know because I want to get to it too, really bad.
Okay.
We got Sean Simpson in here. Sean, I don't know if you've seen that, but we got Sean Simpson.
Okay, yeah.
So we definitely want to make sure that they say something before we get into that. Sean Simpson, or I don't know. Sean Simpson. You can open your mic, or if I don't know if you look in the left hand corner to your left, it should be a mic over there. I don't know if you're.
Oh, by the way, everybody, Frank Vada said he's also an agent of Yah, and so don't just refer to him as historian on deck. He says, I'm an agent of Yah, too.
He's an agent?
No, but yeah.
He's an agent.
But listen what it says. It says,
that's how they do, man.
I'm an agent of Yah. Address me as such. That's what it's.
Oh, man.
So I think it's kind of a historian on deck is too classic.
Right. So I guess we could jump right in and then Adam Coleman, because they're not answering. So definitely let's jump right in.
I don't even know who Sean Simpson. I don't even know who that is.
Oh, I don't know who it is either.
Oh no, he's cool with Sister Cherry. He's a cool guy. He's a pastor, and he does some cool stuff with Sister Cherry. He's
hey,
a cool
man,
guy.
I don't know, man, because old boy Frank Vada said he was an agent. Now I see this black screen come up, but I don't see no face on it, man. Man, what's going on here, man? It's a setup,
So yeah. All right.
So here's the thing, man. Just simple logic, right? Simple logic. So the 400-year prophecy is about to be 2019. And it depends upon the date, year 1619, when the first Africans supposedly came to America, right? My question is, I would throw this out there. Portugal was the nation that sparked off the whole transatlantic slave trade, right? So why did they start, why why not consider the slave trade that was going on as early as the 1400s, for sure, with Portugal? You know what I'm saying, why start the date at 1619 when they get to America? That's my question. What happened to like the 200 years of African folks who was, taken by Portugal? So maybe at least I'll just say 150 to be conservative. The 150 years, you know what I'm saying, prior to 1619, you already had people being taken to Brazil and parts of the Caribbean by Portugal. Why not include that time? You know what I'm saying? And say, yeah, and which would mean that we've been past that 400 years already. That's my question. Why 1619? Were those people, were those not Israelites? The ones who were taken by Portugal? They weren't. I mean, they were taken into captivity, right?
Well, I think it's. I mean, I guess it has to be America. I think.
Right, and that's what I was going to say. Because
but then they can't claim. What about the other slaves they claim with the 12 tribe charts? The 12.
Right.
So
and
now they can't
that's
claim them.
Right, and that's their response to that. Their response is that, like he said, it has to be where we see the pyramid on the dollar, because this is the Egypt, and then somehow, some way it begins to be Babylon, then it's Egypt, so that's what they look for. They look at when they came to America. But like you said, you raised a great point. What about the other tribes, what I'm saying, that didn't come to America, that stayed in those very areas? Because if you're raising it 1619, now America does recognize that something did happen. Chris in here. Brother Chris in here. America did recognize that something did happen in 1619, and we know, like he said, is when they established, when slaves came to America in 1619.
Yeah, I live in Virginia. I'm right down the road from Jamestown. Absolutely, you're absolutely correct.
Right. And so that's it. But when it comes to, like you said, if you just using this with Egypt alone, then what about the other tribes? Are you just gonna count them out? How does that work? You know what I'm saying?
But check this out too, bro. I'm gonna make it even worse, right? So let me ask this question. What about Haitians? What tribe are they? What tribe are they?
Levite. They're the priestly. They're Levites,
right?
That's why. Real quick. Let me explain something real quick. Since you asked that, just give me a second. Okay. That's why Al-Azhar from Sakari, his name is Al-Azhar Banloya, and that's the name he goes by. Banloya is the Lashawan Quadash way to say son of Levi. So that's an example of that. So whenever you see Banloya from a one Wester, it means you're saying they have some Haitian ancestry. Go ahead.
Okay, so let's try Haitians, and let's take a look at let's say Brazilians. What tribe is a Brazilian supposed to be?
I have to look them up real quick. Go ahead though.
All right, so here's my point. Now, if they're gonna base it off the, like what LeBron was saying, like the pyramid on the dollar and being brought to America by the British and so on and so forth, the Haitian slaves weren't brought by the English; they were brought to Haiti by the French. So the French were, they don't have no pyramid on their dollar, not that I'm aware of. That's two totally different nations. So my thing is, to my knowledge, I'm saying, as far as I know, I don't think that Haiti was ever controlled by England. I'm saying, because after you have the French booted out by Toussaint Louverture, I'm saying they're governing themselves from then on, right? So they weren't even under English control. But then you got the other nations too. You got the Danish, who was taking slaves from America. Like, do they not count as Israelites? Because they weren't taken by England either. You have the Danish. I'm saying you got, again, you have the Portuguese are taking a flock. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think Portugal took more than any of these other nations in the first place. It's actually the minority of slaves who were brought over during the transatlantic slave trade were brought to the Americas. There was far more brought to the Caribbean and to South America. You see what I'm saying? So the English really only account for a relatively small number in comparison to these other nations who stole folks. They only account to a small number of the folks who are claiming to be Israelites. You know what I'm saying? And then on top of that, again, you know what I'm saying, not all of them were taken by England anyway.
Two things. There's a book. There's more than one book like this, but this is the best one I found, an Atlas of the Transatlantic Slave Trade. This is from Yale Publications, and it talks literally about what you're talking about, and it has all these charts and breakdowns and graphs of where the different Africans that were kidnapped, where they went across the globe, really. Ironically, some of them actually went to other places of Africa. They would take them around to South Africa. All kinds of crazy stuff was going on. A lot of shenanigans, a lot of sin, you know what I'm saying? But So your point is well taken with that. And I found out Brazilians are said to be Asher. By the way, Brazilians
Asher,
are
okay. Right. So that's my point. So you got three things here. Number one, not all slaves were taken by by the British. That's number one. You know what I'm saying? They weren't all taken to America. And you have at least 100 to 150 years of the transatlantic slave trade going on prior to excuse me, 1619. So I'm like, and some of those that end up in those places are being adopted into the Hebrew Israelite movement, where technically, well, no, they was there in slavery before 1619. So now you got to disown them. You see what I'm saying? So there's just so many holes, what I'm saying, in this this whole 1619 thing. And then the other thing is too, history is always provisional. You know what I'm saying? What I mean by that is that there could be a record discovered tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? That there were some slaves before Jamestown. Could be. You know what I'm saying? We're just going by what's the earliest recorded. But we can't say with certainty that 1619 was the actual date that the first African set foot in America. We don't know. We're just going by when it was first recorded. That's just the nature of, if you really study history and understand how historians do what they do. So it's just, to me, man, it's a really flimsy prophecy. The Hebrew Israelite community doesn't have a good track record. You know what I'm saying? When you look at what was it, my man
Ariah with 2000 and Tahar with 2000.
Tahar, yeah, I was thinking about Tahar, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, obviously you got some clear false prophecies. They can try to get around it any way they can. Obviously, we have some false prophecies there. So I think it's just time, man. To me, and I feel the same way about Christians when they try to predict when Jesus is coming back. Man, just stop. You know what I'm saying? It's just
my favorite example
why
of that.
Do that to yourself? Why?
Yeah, my favorite example of that is where there's a dude in 1987 that came out with a little booklet that got passed around a lot of evangelical circles called 88 Reasons Why Jesus is Coming Back in 1988. Well, it didn't happen. He recalculated and came out with a book called 89 Reasons Why Jesus is Coming Back in 1989. Now, fortunately, he didn't make no 1990 edition, but still, bro. You know what I'm saying? Hey, check this out. Someone's interacting the main proponent of the 400-year prophecy. Here's what he says, Adam Coleman. He says, no understanding on the 400-year prophecy. I'm out. And then before he left, he wanted to share the gospel with us. So here's what he said. Here is the eternal gospel, the faith of Christ, plus obeying the 10 commandments, including the Sabbath to the best of your ability, Revelation 14:12.
To the best of your ability.
Yes.
Well, all right, what if my ability? What if I'm really bad?
What if your righteousness is as filthy rags?
What if I just I'm just a drunkard, man? Or let's say 10 commandments. What if I'm just really bad at restraining myself from lying and killing people? You know what I'm saying? Then what? But I'm doing my best. I'm doing my best to keep the law. You know what I'm saying? The 10 commandments, rather.
But right? I think it's wild. He says, you guys don't have any understanding of the 400-year prophecy, so I'm out. But he's still advocating it there. But I mean, it's like, hey, brother, Cayman Island 20, why not school us on this 400-year prophecy? Because I thought we faithfully broke it down. We don't try to do straw men. I thought we represented what it really was, and then we asked some legitimate questions. Right. So, I don't know what you're saying. We didn't just merely laugh at it. We got into it. So not only that, but, you're saying the eternal gospel. So here's his understanding of the gospel. And this is why Hebrewism is a dangerous thing, because you see, when they define the gospel, it's Judaizing, and it's not the gospel of Christ. Here's the eternal gospel, the faith of Christ, and you should have stopped right there, plus obeying 10 commandments, including the Sabbath to the best of your ability, Revelation 14:12. Let me read Revelation 14:12 real quick, but I mean, man, isn't that like a parable, if anything is, of what the issues with this? First of all, is holding this false prophecy, and then, says we don't understand it, so he's about to bone out, and then he leaves this eternal gospel, and that's what he leaves us with? Here's Revelation 14:12. It says, here is a call for the endurance of the saints, those who keep the commandments of God and their faith in Jesus. So he's like saying that's a proof text that it's keeping commandments that saves you, I think, is what he's saying there.
Interesting. So what are the commandments of God? That's going to be the question. Because I think he's going to presuppose, what those commandments are. But, nevertheless, man, I always get worried when people say, in order to be saved, you need Christ plus. You know what I'm saying? Once you throw that plus in there, then it's like, where are we going? You know what I'm saying? What direction are we going? I see you about to pull out another book. Hey, is that right above your hand there to the left, that blue and black book? I think I got that one, on the Book of Acts. Is that what that is?
Oh, yeah.
At the top there?
Yeah.
In the Hellenized World. Yeah. That joint's tough. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a real dope book.
Yeah,
oh, look, hey, K-Dub's up in here. Can we get K-Dub or can we get Sean, one of them, to open up their mic and their picture?
K-Dub. What's up, K-Dub?
K-Dub.
Hey, what's good, man? Hey, let me get a shirt on, man.
Yeah, please, brother. Please do.
You don't want to make none of these females stumble out here, bro.
No,
man.
Yeah, that taco meat on his chest.
Yeah,
with the gold chain, with the thin gold chain.
I keep it clean on the chest, man.
With the medallion.
I keep it clean too, but I got it though. I got to keep it clean.
Man, I got good genes.
Look at him.
you got the what's that dude back in the wrestler, man? What was that cat name?
Coco Beware?
Nah. Man, Coco Beware, man. I don't think he ever won a match, bro.
I don't think so.
Whole life, yo.
Hey, I see y'all figured out how to get it on YouTube.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Congrats.
Yeah, man. All right, yeah. So what?
Man, I can't be on the same chat as Chris Williams, man. Somebody gonna release a diss track, and they're gonna
have video footage, man.
Yeah, man. I can't be associated with you, bro. Yeah. You know. Oh, we didn't even talk about that, vocab. We're talking about 2017, man. The whole the battle situation, or was that 2018? When did that happen?
Hey,
that might have been 18. Okay.
I think it's a little bit of both.
I got something dropping hopefully next week, fellas.
What is it?
Word.
I got the video
for your song.
The music video. Yeah.
Oh, snap. Okay.
Oh, that's dope.
Yeah. Right. So I went out to IUIC and I shot the video in front of them.
Oh, I seen that picture. Okay. That's
Yo, he's all got IUIC's his posse. Like in you remember those 90s songs where they would delay the last word on purpose so they could all say it together. Like, they don't understand how I rock. When I bring the microphone, I don't stop. We don't stop because we always roll. You know what I'm saying? IUIC is gonna be doing the backup joint like that. They're gonna do all the
Oh, snap. Man, y'all gonna make me get back on the mic, man. I gotta do something, man.
Yeah, you got skill, bro.
He dope, man. Cause I was
just appreciate it, bro.
Hey, look, I didn't even know you rapped, and then I listened to it. I was like, oh, this dude dope.
Yo, cats me think I be joking around, man. Like they I'll be like, yo, I used to rap, and they'd be like, yeah, whatever. You know what I'm saying? But like, no, I was actually pretty good, you know? I was actually pretty good. Cats be clowning me, man.
Hey, you knew that dude that's something that happened in 2017. Yeah, Tatum,
yeah.
Deshaun Tatum.
Deshaun Tatum, yeah.
Hey, I don't know if y'all knew, but Adam Coleman knew that dude. He was like a big Christian rapper in Adam Coleman's circle back then, bro.
Knew him personally, yeah.
Oh, yeah. I like how I used to listen to him when he used to go, and he used to be freestyling and going right in.
Hey, let me tell you something, bro. Deshaun Tatum, I'll say in front of anybody, Deshaun Tatum was the illest freestyler I've ever seen. Oh, I've seen that cat do a whole set freestyle off. I mean, I'm talking, and I'm talking about like a real freestyle. You know what I'm saying? Like as an MC, I can tell when cats is like really going off the dome. That brother used to, I mean, he was phenomenal talent, man. He's very influential around here. You know, the reason why he's one of the reasons why I'm living in Hampton right now. Cause like him and some other cats had this area popping with Christian, gospel hip hop or whatever. And even off the mic, man, he was very influential. Definitely went hardcore preaching the gospel. At some point, and I don't want to put his whole life out there, but some tragic things happened and things kind of got derailed. And lo and behold, he ends up getting to the some form of Hebrew Israelism. And he unfortunately did meet his end a couple months ago, and it's very tragic, man. A lot of people out here was heartbroken because he was a very like I said, very influential guy, very charismatic. And he
used to go by the Golden Child or something like that.
Golden Child, Deshaun the Golden Child. That's right. Yeah.
And he was on CBN, right?
CBN, yeah, definitely. He had been interviewed on CBN. He had a couple projects out. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, he had put a lot of work out in the kingdom, man. He really did. It's funny, man. I'll never forget. We was out doing this outreach one time in Virginia Beach, and I was on stage rapping. And like I said, he was a freestyler, man. And what happened was the system went out to where it wouldn't play my CD, like right in the middle of my set.
Oh man, the demons attacked you right in the middle of your set.
Right, yeah, right in the middle of the set. And I'll never forget, man. The first thing I hear from him is like, "Yo, what's up with the freestyle? He was like G checking me on the spot. So I had to do it. I had to go in on the freestyle, man, like straight up, bro. At the time, I was freestyling like every day, So yeah, I could do that back then. But he was a very he went hard for what he believed, man. You know what I'm saying? It's really unfortunate that things turned out the way it did. But that's
I got that flow, man. My name is Adam Cole, man. Look at these guns. You see, I'm swole, man.
Nah, not at all.
That's how you did it.
Nah.
That's how you did it. They call me Cole, man, because I'm so cold.
Yeah. Actually, a lot of people didn't even know my name was Adam Cole until like last year, bro. I went from like by my alias Scott Lane for over a decade, and I had like close friends like, "Yo, your name? You mean your name is not Scott?" You know what I'm saying? But I've thought about maybe getting back on it, man. I might drop some bars in 2018, man. I might have to, get back on.
Hey, 2018, we all coming out.
Yeah, why not?
Seriously,
hey, why not, man?
Have you guys seen K-Dub's new videos? He's dropping these videos now where he's got like the Hebrew Israelites say the darndest things, and he's got one heresy collection. See, man, that's what's going on. Is people's in video games improving, like in 2018, and Hebrew Israelites that y'all got to step it up, man.
Hey,
yeah.
It was funny, man. There's this dude who always comments on my videos, and he's like, "Man, you're obsessed." I'm like, "Bro, you're the one that literally comments on all my videos."
Right.
Talking about I'm obsessed.
But
right.
He watching you though.
Exactly.
Right.
He's like, "You're nobody."
You know what's crazy though, because when we was talking about that 400 years, I had stepped out and went upstairs though, but in that text it says he says that for the iniquity of the Amorites is not yet full. And so what makes me upset is because Ron Shields, he knows what that means if you study history, because we know who the Amorites is historically. And so when you look at what he's talking about concerning the Amorites and what time frame that we're talking about, he's telling them that he's not going to bring them back to that place of Canaan until the iniquity of the Amorites is till their time is over with. And so when you look at where he was talking to Abraham at, he had to be talking to Abraham in Canaan, because he said that I'm going to bring them down into Egypt, but then bring them back into this place. But he said he wasn't going to bring them yet. He says because the iniquity of the Amorites is not yet full. And so, in other words, God's long suffering and his mercy was really dealing with these guys, these nations, before God was going to bring judgment on them, because if he bring wrath on us right now, it's over with. You know what I'm saying? Right. And so when we look at the Amorites, they was doing all these wicked things, and so I think that they missed that part. And what they try to do on that part is they try to say that Amorites is the Americans.
Oh, for real?
So it just get ridiculous. Oh man, I've heard it all, man. I've heard it all.
Come on.
And so I would like to even these are the questions that I want to ask these guys, like Ron Shields, because you seem to be some type of pillar or something. I want to ask: is the 400 years has it passed? Has it come to pass? And then that make the argument with, well, it says 430 years, when we know that's the whole sojourn, and we know the problems that we see in, some other texts in the Septuagint, and we know that, and so, working on that. But just to say overall, and that's where the problem come in, that they try to say, well, there has to be another 400 years, because we see what took place in Acts, and then we see also, was Israel, historically really in Egypt that long, besides the sojourn, you know what I'm saying? And so we know that we could calculate for like 215, they say, most scholars, but that raises a problem with that. And so they feel like, well, we could take that problem that we see, because we see a variance there, that we could take that and maybe we can put some 400 years somewhere, somehow, some way, and say, well, this is America, when that 400 years is in relationship to the Amorites. So, after 400 years, he's going to bring them out of that place to judge the Amorites. But when we start talking about the sojourn, which is 430 years, then, That's dealing with the first, because most scholars, they may say this. They may say that they can see the first of Abraham's seed being oppressed by one of those nations was the son of Hagar. Once that seed was confirmed, Hagar, his son, which is Ishmael, which was half Egyptian, oppressed or mocked the seed of Abraham, which was Isaac. So at that time, some scholars start right there saying that that's part of that, as well as doing the sojourn, when we can kind of see the mocking. And then we look at also Joseph, who was taken down into Egypt. He was taken down into Egypt by Midianites and also Ishmaelites into Egypt. So I guess they make, there's a correlation we can make there too. But bottom line is this 400 years is in reference to the Amorites, where he's going to, and so what do you do with that? How do you deal with that? The only way they can get away from that is say, oh, that's America, which that's retarded, and that's what we've seen them actually do. Besides looking at some of the variants that we see.
Yeah, man, no doubt. The brother's still talking about Trump signed a document recently that confirmed the 2019 prophecy. I don't know, so he's
right. Well, if you want to pull that up, like I mean, it's getting late. I really don't want to pull it up, but I think I looked at that. And that's one of the things that we're going to actually deal with, because I seen it. Like Zadok, one of the things Zadok you doing, bro, is just pulling this stuff up, and you actually confirm it, because what we find out is that when these guys pull stuff up and then we go and we chase it down and we look into it, it's not saying nothing that these guys are saying.
Well,
it's
yeah, you remember that hangout on Deuteronomy 28 we recently did? You remember what happened with that? Why are you laughing?
Because that was funny, man. Look, let me say this real quick. Look, while he's talking about the book, vocab is looking at the screen. Now, I couldn't really see, because at that time I would have been looking through his glasses, looking at what he was looking at. But look, I seen him typing, right? He's typing. I said, vocab, gonna go look the book up. Vocab went and bought the book and say, what page is it? And look, went right to the page and read it, and it just really debunked him and brought out some things that we seen that we was like, hey, look, that's confirming what we saying. And guess what? Ngozi, which is really neutral in this, he's not a believer, but he said, I like vocab. He said because he studied, he does his studying. You know what I'm saying? Didn't he say that, vocab? Now,
yeah, he was cool. He was cool.
This is a guy that's in the conscious community. But he had enough sense to know that, look, this guy's doing his studying. And so, I've been ridiculed. I've been talked about because this guy's Ngozi is an unbeliever, in the fact of, what he believes. He believes in more so of a metaphysic type of side or whatever. But at the same time, I still deal with him because the brother, he knows biology. And if it wasn't for him, I would never even been looking into a lot of those things. I'm talking about for years. I talked about, people when it came to science and this and that, and some science, I look at it and say, but then when I started looking at certain things that he was talking about, I was like, he got a point. And when we look at the scripture says that we understand the things that are seen. Understand the things that are unseen by the things that are seen. So when we begin to study the natural world, it kind of really explains God, unless people just want to just get away from God and say there is no God and just forget it. But as you keep on studying the natural world, God's fingerprint is all in it. He's guilty of it. His fingerprint is there. He left it there. And so it was just funny, man. But I just laughed at it, man.
Yeah, because what happened is the guy was saying that the routes out of Israel in 70 AD were basically blocked off. And so Israel went, basically the only option was to go into Africa. And he said they mainly ended up in West Africa from this eventually. And so I just asked him for a primary source from that era that would say something about this what he was saying. And so he brought up a book and he showed it. This is a guy last night. I forgot his name. G-Con knows his name. Okay. But he was a Hebrew Israelite in the Deuteronomy 28 panel. He came on at the end and interacted with us. And he was a nice guy and everything. And so he showed a book, and it was called something Antiquity by Norman something. At the time I got a hold of it. And so then while he was talking, I went and just downloaded on Kindle, went and brought it and got it while he was talking. And I went to the page he was talking about, and it said two things directly refuting what he was talking about. One is it said the Israelites established themselves all throughout the Hellenized and non-Hellenized world, and it emphasized mainly them being in the East. And as far as the primary places they went and whatever. And then it specifically said, and I didn't even know this was going to be there, it said, but throughout the dispersion, they kept on practicing their traditions and maintained their religious, cultural, and ethnic identity. Which is, and so I read it, and he's like, well, yeah. I was like, wait, but this is the page you're giving me as a primary source for this claim? He's like, well, because what I'm talking about is the stuff that doesn't say on that page. I was like, what do you mean? He's like, well, he doesn't mention about the other communities. I was like, then why'd you give me this as your source? You're telling me. It was the weirdest thing. And
but you know what though, and all due respect, I have to say this because I watched him dialogue with Sick Kari. I call him Sick Kari. I watched him dialogue with them, and he had a great discussion with them, and they was being real rude to the brother, but at the same time, the brother is very respectful because
I like him. I like him.
The whole time, he was listening to us, and we was listening to him, and he's a respectful guy. So you run into these guys where you can have a respectful conversation with them and a great dialogue with them, and he's one of them. I think that another one is Zadok Ben Israel. You can have a great conversation with him too, just as well. But I'm so really heartbroken when it comes to Zadok Ben Israel because I always talk highly of him, and now I'm just starting to see him fall off into the identity thing. And to be honest, it was there from the beginning, but I didn't want to see it because I always give people the benefit of the doubt. You know what I'm saying? I didn't want to see it, but I can see that he slowly but for surely trying to push off into this West African thing. You know what I'm saying? And I'm gonna be honest with you, like I may not be I may not be the greatest person that can really, look at certain books and articulate it or bring it out because I'm as urban as it get. You know what I'm saying? But he understands what I'm saying. Like, bro, like you just can't do that, man. Like you're so, you get so confident in your flesh. And then he already stated before, like he doesn't even know if he's an Israelite. Then he goes back and he tells me, I was just saying that just for argument's sake. Whoa, like, I mean, what you lying now, or or what, or you just said that you don't believe that you don't know if you're an Israelite. You might not be that. What if you woke up and you realized that you was not that? And then to be honest, a lot of these brothers look like pure ham. I'm just playing.
Why?
I'm just playing. Forgive me on that one, yeah. These brothers looking pure hermetic, man. You looking at like, brother, you don't look. Ain't nothing hermetic about you, bro. You know what I'm saying? You look super loopy. Forgive me, Lord.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong because y'all see my DNA. I put it right there. I'm super West African. There's nothing wrong with it at all, man. And so, it is what it is, man. I'm just a Hamitic preacher. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? And then look, I'm ham, and sometimes I might slip and eat a little ham.
Yo, it's crazy, man.
Nah, I'm just playing. But yeah, it is what it is, man. So, but yeah, so I think that for that, man, it was just funny. But when the brother did what he did, and this brother was right in the background pulling up the text, man, looking at the book and everything, and that almost happened to me one time to where this dude he posted this book in the chat room and just straight lying. Now, mind you not, I study Egypt a lot, right? So I can look at some of the things that he brought out, and I'm like, hold on, these are like these slaves on the cartouches that I see this in Karnak. And so when I'm looking at it, I'm like, why would this dude post this and say these are Israelites when the very cartouches tell you who these people are? And so he posted a picture, and the book costed $200. So I'm looking, I didn't went to my account. I'm looking, I'm like, I'm finna move some things around. You know what I'm saying? look, I'm gonna move some things around, and because I know my wife, she look and she say, "This brother, you just spent $200 something on the book, and then got all this equipment coming. So I went and I moved some things around, right? And I'm like, man, I'm finna get this book. And then somebody came to me, I think it was Faithful God. He was like, he said, nah, bro. He was like, don't do it. He was like, I'm trying to see if I can get it on the PDF, because a lot of times he get a lot of books on PDF for free. Or he might say, no, bro, get in this book club, you know what I'm saying? And you can do it for like a free trial for 30 days and then such and such on what to do. Cause but sometimes I like to pay my money because I want to support. I don't want to try to
email.
Let me find out favorite guy the bootlegging scholarship, yo. You like that cat at the barbershop with the CD?
Right.
Hey man, I got these.
He got books.
They always
right. And so
they always
got
hold it like this. Hey man, I got this. I got this. Anyways, go.
Encyclopedia.
Right. And so I basically. And so, man, it's just funny because they'll make you chase them like that. And like I told him, I was like, really, I got all book PDFs. I got guys, man, from Team Osiris, also from what is it?
Dagger Squad.
Dagger Squad. They came to me. They gave me all PDFs on West Africa. Like I'm talking about, listen, these guys gave me all PDFs and said, take this. You want this? You got it. I'm talking about Alan Brown, shouts out to him. And to be honest, like, we got differences, you know what I'm saying? But if they're going to bring some truth has no color, no faces, or none of that. And so if it's something that we can historically look at and say, well, these are what these people was doing, saying that this is the truth that we see of God, you know what I'm saying? When we line up what real truth is, but this is what we see culturally, what these people dealt with. These people, we identify these people when they came to the Southern America. We could see they were still practicing those very traditions that they was practicing over in Africa, voodoo and all types of traditions, certain deities and gods. They've been practicing these things before there was even an Israelite that was in Africa. Well, then when we start looking at pottery, these people have the same. Go on, I'm sorry.
Yeah, can I just throw in something real quick, man? My fault.
Go ahead, you got it.
But one thing that really, particularly if you look at what's his name, Genovese, I think it is. He got this book called Roll Jordan Roll, and he gets into the how you have these remnants of African culture still present here in the West. Even when you get into like some of the funerary practices and so on and so forth, they can actually kind of trace how these West African traditions and cultural remnants, took root over here in America, and we just don't recognize them. You know what I'm saying? They're still present here today. We just don't realize it. You know what I mean? But it goes to your point. Like, there's this idea like, oh man, all of our culture was wiped away. Now, obviously, to a large extent it was, but there's still these remnants that you see, particularly in the Caribbean, where, here in America, you have this period where we come out of slavery and then we're kind of being grafted in, so to speak, into the dominant society. But obviously in the Caribbean, South America, so forth, they had a much more profound impact on those cultures because they, once the Europeans left, they could take over. And say, and to Laurent's point, you see the Santeria, you see the Vodun, you see the Candomblé, so on and so forth. If there were these remnants of Hebrew Israelism, then you would expect to see them somewhere, more profoundly than what these guys report, but you just don't see it. But I just want to throw that in there.
That's an interesting point you brought up. Tony Ray from Hazakim made his point to me one time. He said, in the places where some of the African cultural elements were not wiped away as strong, like in aspects of Haiti and on some of the islands, there is a little bit maybe more clear continuity. Although, your point's well taken that there's not a total discontinuity between the old and the new for a variety of reasons. These things kind of show up here and there. But in Haiti, he says, what do you get when you see the religious practices of it? And I said, what do you mean, Tony? He said, well, check this out. What is voodoo? What it's a syncretist religion. So it's a mixture of different religions, mainly Roman Catholicism, and what? Ancient, kind of paganistic, traditional, animistic, ritualistic, spiritist type. I'm saying a lot of things there, but of some of ancient African religions from them. Meaning, when they synchronize with something, what are they? It's not they're not synchronizing Roman Catholicism with some like Hebraic religion. They're synchronizing Roman Catholicism with kind of a pagan religion, and that's what voodoo equals out to. Does that make sense? I thought that was an interesting point that he made.
Well, yeah, and there's reasons for that, because if you look at these West African, spiritual systems, I'm saying, and I don't want to get off, too far, because I cut it off Ron anyway, so I don't want to go too far. But there's this notion that you can have spiritual energy, so to speak, invested in a particular item. I'm saying, like an amulet or like this and that. Now, when you think about, if you already hold those beliefs as an African, and then Catholicism comes along where iconography is really big,
you're like
statues and so on and so forth, then it melds really well. All you're doing is, I'm going to take, this, system I already have, I'm going to kind of merge it over here. It's almost like a seamless, new thing. You know what I'm saying? That's why you have these kind of hybrid, between Catholicism and some of these indigenous religions. So it's no surprise that you would see that kind of thing.
Right. And then like for instance, like I see we got the brother Geechee Gola Jack. He's from St. Louis, Missouri, and he's going to school, for biology, I believe too. I've listened to him on a lot of these things too, just as well. And so for the most part, it's like they'll get mad at me and they'll say, "Well, LaRon, are they believers? Do they believe how you believe?" Well, hold on for a minute, Zadok Ben Israel. You just posted today, stuff that that deals with you posted stuff that people who you brought out, that Europeans that we know that 1800s in that area, what role they played in coming into Africa, doing certain things that they did in Africa. And so, how can you tell me that I can't use somebody that studies in those areas, that knows the information more than what I know it? I just want to bring some, somebody who deals with the topic, and knows about it, so he can show you guys, look, if you're going to take this in consideration, anytime you're going to say E1B1A or any type of haplogroup, you better be ready to actually deal with people that know the information. And so I'm not going to sit up here and keep talking about it and keep I'm just going to bring somebody in who knows the information, because if you take that mindset, then you stop taking your children to the doctors then, if you feel like you can't, stop depending on officers when it comes to forensics to FBI to solve cases, when there's a murder and stuff like that, because they use that type of forensic science to basically see if they can solve a lot of these cases. And sometimes 9 times out of 10 they get on it. You know what I'm saying? They know what they're doing. And so I'm not saying it is something that is perfect, but these brothers, they know the information. And I definitely see the brother in the building. And I definitely would bring you in, but I'm gonna bring you in probably most likely this Sunday, because I know we just kind of like dealing with Shield Squad tonight, Geechee Gola Jack. But this Sunday, brother, we definitely got you. We're gonna have cool food. We're gonna have and also you on there as well as Ngozi on there. On the Facebook channel as well as on my YouTube channel, and just really let y'all go in and really deal with what y'all deal with. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, it's not everything that I don't agree with everything. Y'all know my problem with is the time frame, but that's okay though, because I know you guys look at the amount of change that we see this of today's rate, and I don't have a problem with that. So when we start looking at the amount of change that we see of today's rate from one organism to the next organism that we see, and that rate, when we look at that rate, instead of the slow rate, so we can look at that rate and determine how determine those years back and calculate those things. Me personally, I think that this thing took back then, the accumulations of these mutations on the chromosomes happened, within a time frame that was pretty rapid because of the changing of the flood. But that's just me, you know what I'm saying? And so we deal with scientists that take a different perspective. And even though you have what is it, evolutionists, or theist evolution.
Evolution, yeah.
Even though we have that, I don't knock those brothers, because Ngozi has pointed me to theistic evolution, guys, and told me to look up certain guys and stuff like that. Plus, we got brothers that deals with that, this Calvinist and also dispensationalism, dispensationalists. They deal with it. So I don't have no problem with that. You know what I'm saying? We may have arguments among ourselves, but we're not saying, well, okay, you're not a Christian because you deal with that. You know what I'm saying? And so I think that for the most part, I'm definitely gonna build with that brother, get it in with those brothers, man, because we've had our conversations in the back chat. We argue, you know what I'm saying? Back in the days, we threatened each other, you know what I'm saying? But for the most part, we was able to work that thing out and you know, got stronger because it got me to studying. You know, I got biology books sitting all in the corner right here, and you know, and I went and got some. I went to universities and colleges, and I asked them, look, are you selling any books? And then if they sold me a book, $10, $15, let me get that. I'll take it. You know what I'm saying? And so, you know, that's what I did because I really wanted to know what these guys was talking about in the back chat. You know, how things work, how it form. And so I just wanted to end that on that note. But go ahead, though, y'all.
Well, I just want to give a shout out to the folks who I know who are Hebrew Israelites who've been hanging with us. I mean, I know we're having fun, but actually, man, we love y'all. I respect y'all, and I'm glad you're hanging around. So, G Checker, Frank Vada, a.k.a. Historian on deck, and also we got Cayman Island 20. Those are the three. I mean, I think there's some other folks in there. This is the top of my head I saw. So shout out to y'all, man. Thanks for kicking in. Yeah, everyone, you know, commenting and stuff. Just it's nice to see, you know, people got good comments, and Shield Squad, you know, got good support, man. It's starting to. That's another thing I noticed in 2018 when we started, man. It felt really, really lonely, but now we're finally kind of starting to get people who kind of know the arguments. They're arguing well in the comments. They're learning themselves. They're doing their own thing. Like, it's nice to see like a real community rise up around this. So shout out to y'all holding it down in the comment section as well. That's really all I got to say tonight. Cause yeah, that's what's up with me.
Yeah. And we definitely gonna get the opportunity because like I say, it's family time. I'm home to Monday. I leave out early Monday, but Sunday we're gonna do that show, but then I'm gonna try to sneak and get something in tomorrow, probably late night or something. But we're gonna get off into the word. Don't get it twisted. Like, we love to crack open the word because I see somebody saying crack open the word. Like, we're not afraid of that at all. And to be honest, like, that's when we really at our strongest point, when it's time to really get off into that word. Like, we do everything else, but you know, that's the you know, because we, you know, we playing with child fathers in a way where we like, hey, look, we don't want to go, we don't want to really go that route, but we go that route. But to be honest, like, to get off into the word, it's more so this, the Bible says the interest of his word giveth life. So that word alone is just so powerful. We can deal with philosophy, science, and really we just chasing that because you guys are taking us to that area. But then our main purpose is to really bring you right back to this book.
Amen.
So don't think that, like, for one part that, oh, you might say, because I understand that the One West and the Hebrew Israelites, the first thing they say is that, oh man, they ain't come out with no scriptures. They spitting all philosophy and all science, and that's what you trust in and this and that. Nah, man. Like, if we get off into that word, it can really, which when we do, and when we are doing it, it really get ugly for y'all, especially when we break down Deuteronomy 28. I mean, it just all passages has been exegeted, you know, properly. When you guys, you know, and it's just, it get ridiculous. I know I seen you finna say something, brother Vocab.
Nah, I was gonna see what K-Dub had to. I wasn't gonna say nothing myself. I was gonna see what K-Dub wanted to say because I think we're close to jamming out. What about you, K-Dub?
Yeah, man. Just looking forward to putting a lot of material together. To those who, I think people should watch the last video I put together. It's just like a compilation of heresies and bad practices of Black Hebrew Israelites that I put together in like a 30-minute video. So I think that's pretty good. Also, man, I saw someone put this in the Christian Hebrew Israelite group, man. We're gonna have to start screenshotting all these people talking about Christ coming back in 2019. You know? Hey, because if he come in 2018, right before he come, I gotta post it on Facebook, you know. No, I'm just teasing. But yeah, man, we gotta screenshot this stuff because I'm looking forward to the excuses. You know, in 2020, you know, Lord willing, we still here, you know. Like, what are the excuses gonna be, you know?
That was just a possibility.
Yeah, right.
Like, the year 2000 prophecy, most of them, they said, well, it's like the book of Jonah.
Right.
You know, Jonah said 40 days or Nineveh, and since the Hebrews like started waking up, Yahushai didn't come because they started waking up like Jonah, so he's still doing his work. So that's what I hear Tahar uses Jonah as an excuse for that false prophecy there. But
yeah, that's what they said when I went out to GMS.
Yeah.
But when I asked them, so Tahar got it wrong, they didn't want to answer it. Jonah got it wrong, but we're not really sure on the 2000 stuff.
Well, yeah, man, you can't have the Apostle Paul getting nothing wrong because everybody knows Tahar is really Paul.
Oh, snap!
You didn't know that?
What?
Wait, you guys didn't know Tahar is Paul?
Well, I know they believe in reincarnation. I wasn't sure who. I'm not sure.
Tahar is Paul. Ariah is John the Revelator, and so he's still alive. Of course, there was a lot of the apostles started getting taken, so Tazadakia decided to fill the role of the Holy Spirit. You know what I'm saying? So he got that one covered. But yeah, Tahar is the Apostle Paul, bro.
Wow, bro. Man, come on, man.
And so
it's always funny because they're always like, you can't understand Paul's letters. I'm like, now I'm gonna be like, just go to Tahar. We can understand him now.
Just ask him directly.
It's like
send him an email.
Those Edomites making fun of the doctrine of regeneration. But they're not gonna be laughing when missiles come inside their ear hole. When a nuclear missile from Germany lands inside your ear hole, what you gonna say then, huh? Now some of you Jakes, you just stupid. You hanging out with those Edomites, you still gonna get saved in the kingdom, but you might have to go through the kingdom like it's a baby or something. You go through the kingdom like missing a right hand. You know what I'm saying? That's the cost you pay for being a scoffer in this life. But you'll recognize the apostles when the time comes. Like what's that one movie with that one Jake? With the Edomite, hold on, it'll come to me. That I don't know right now, but it was something game in the title or something like that. But it's just like that movie.
That's a pretty good impersonation right there, man.
Right, y'all see that? Y'all see that video that Brother Jay was talking about? I think you shared it, Chris. It might have been you or somebody else shared it, and it was when the guy talked about that there's two. He talks about
how Jesus and the Father, or Yahushua and Yahweh, was it the same person? Yeah, you saying it twice or something like that? Yeah.
He thought he was getting it too, man. He was, he was like, they made me do it. They gonna make me do it. Like, yeah, get that. I'm like, man, if you don't sit down,
man,
he'll get in the corner somewhere, man. But that brother had on them purple garments, man, looking like
a Laker fan.
Right, looking like a Lakers fan, bro. Looking like
could they get away with that? Like, could they get it if I was like, could I just put like fringes on a Kobe jersey or something like that? Would they be cool with that?
Man, I don't know.
Like, would that be like the
Kobe jersey?
Yeah, put a Kobe jersey on and just put some fringes on it. You know what I'm saying? Would that meet the dress code? You know what I'm saying?
I think it would. It's so odd, man. These dudes would like rock a fitted hat and they'd be like, like this, like Israel, and then they got like some kind of hip hop shirt with fringes, and then they got weird pants, and then they got boots on. It's just
right.
Man, y'all should say ISUPK.
Creativity, all right, Y'all
should say ISUPK about a week ago when Matt was having So Real was having a conversation with ISUPK. This brother, I'm talking about, man.
Oh, the dude looked like he dressed like a Black Panther with the little beret.
This brother like the new Black Panther party, man.
Okay.
He got the fist and everything.
Right, he had the
laptop with his gloves.
Right, and then I said, bro, what's the gloves for, man? Like, is the grip the mic tight? What is it about, man? You know what I'm saying?
About to go golfing out this jump.
Hey, you know what? This is real lingo from ISUPK. When you get your wardrobe and you do it, you know what? There's slang for what they call happens. They call it studded up.
Really?
Yeah, they say that brother's about to get studded up. That means he's gonna like get his wardrobe because ISUPK rocks all the studs like the Road Warriors. You know what I'm talking about?
It's kind of like, man. I said, Brother Marcus was on my show like months ago. It's kind of like Call of Duty, man. Like, you know how Call of Duty, you playing through the you can like level up or whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like that. You can level up. You know, you start out with just like regular studs, and then you get like the spike studs. You know what I'm saying? Then you can level up even more than that. Get you like the Kobe jersey.
Like, I want to see one of these dudes come out like Shredder. You know, like you push a button.
Hey, yo, I would give him
Come out.
mad props, yo. If somebody came through like that, I'd be like, yo, you got it, bro.
Like,
Man,
man.
look, me
got it.
personally, man, that ain't nothing but bondage leather and biker boys.
Oh, snap.
yo, I know somebody said
The,
that
the
they look
biker
like
mice from Mars.
they look like a medieval biker gang.
Right. You know,
It's
no
true.
bikes outside, not one Harley Davidson. They just sitting there with nunchucks and ninja stars with police boots on. You know?
Yo, man, General Yohana, man, he be rocking these fringes that like get real long. He got this one, generally, it's like a red shirt and it's got big collars. It goes, and the fringes are extra long. They hang down from his chest. Man, I went online. You guys know there's an old school cowboy, Roy Rogers. Man, I found a picture of him rocking a shirt just like that, and I put them up together. And I asked one of my lecturers, I said, "Who wore it better?"
Hey,
Roy
man,
Rogers,
hey, Roy Rogers had fringes on for all them cats, man. He was fringed out before all y'all.
Hey, all the UPKers right now need to Google Roy Rogers. And
Roy Rogers was rocking them fringes, bro.
And I know there's gonna be some one Western be like, maybe he's a Jake. I mean,
John Wayne.
Them boys being back in the warehouses trying to get them lazy boy scraps, you know, because sometimes they may have some lazy boys. They might
those extra Jones
upholstery, and they get a couple of them scraps, man, and make them Hebrew Israelite fringes and suits and everything. Yeah,
I'm gonna go to Home Depot and get them paint strip samples. You know what I'm saying? You get them, get them.
What if we went all out extra, contacted a seamstress, had her rock us out each a garb, Hebrews like garb, and went out to camp while they was out there dressed up.
Look, now that's one of the things. Look, now hold on, I might have to say this. That's one of the things you don't do.
Yeah, don't do it. Don't do it. That'll get you beat up.
Do that. Look, you do that, they go. Hey, look, they gonna chase us all the way down the street.
No. Hey, me and Rick thought about dressing up as IUIC and just standing there with them, see if they would know.
Y'all be Jakes for real, bro.
That's right.
You gotta learn the chant. You gotta learn the chant.
Yeah, that's right.
Part of the chant is they say such and such about Christ is like, who is Christ? Christ is king. Who is Christ? Christ is king. And what color was he? Christ is black. What color was he? Christ is black. They say that. Have you heard the chant?
Yeah.
I heard that. Yeah, it's new.
They chant that out on the street.
I know one thing. If I go out there, I'm going out there shalom up. You feel me?
Well, no, you gotta master
hot dog.
Shalom dap. This is called shalom dap.
Shalom dap, yeah.
I'm going shalom up. I'm going out
no,
there.
your fist can't be that high, bro. It's got to be below your chin. All right, below your chin. Okay, so you go like
right.
This.
And you know what?
You lift up your chin a little bit because you better.
Hey, I gotta give you some of that beard oil too, because all I got that good beard oil, baby oil in the bottle. It's slick. Yeah, we got it.
Was that real, by the way? That beard oil?
Yeah, that is real. Like, yeah.
Oh, he really got beard oil for real?
You got beard oil, man.
I thought you
Adam Coleman, bro, you need to get some so you can just like Tazariak.
Right, I need to.
Coming soon.
It's the product placement. They made a guarantee, a promise. They said the amount of extra wives you can have is directly proportionate to how much beard oil you apply in your face. So if you use a whole bottle, bro, you might have 3 women that next day.
Nah, hey man, I'm broke, but I can't afford the one I got.
1 pint equals 1 wife. 2 pint equals 2 wives.
I'm trying to get this. I'm trying to get this tax check right now, bro. You know what I'm saying?
I know. Sorry, I got some old roofing gear with knee pads and all that, man. I'm going out there. When I go out there, I'm going out there with the hatchet, the knee pads on, man. You don't think I'm gonna go out there get on top of a roof, but I'm Hebrew shalom.
Come on, that John looking like Jason.
Look, yeah.
Come on. When they be rocking the axe and the swords, that's what gets me.
Yeah.
Yo,
that's like.
Hey, bro.
Come on, that
picture was hilarious.
You talking about where he had a.
Yeah.
And
when
Ricky,
when someone photoshopped him,
Ricky did that. We put him on like a medieval barbarian's face, Tazariak, because somebody said, why did Tazariak get that axe? And they said that's so he can chop up the scriptures more.
Oh,
Yo, we got to cut it out. It's getting late, man.
Hey, you know one thing I appreciate though, and I could be, maybe I'm over exaggerating, but maybe in the last couple of months, I have noticed some Hebrews, like some are finally getting a sense of humor, bro. You know what I'm saying? Them cats, like, you see, they
couple.
so mad over everything, man.
A couple.
But, yo, I mean, I like to joke around, man. I don't never disrespect nobody. I don't care to that point. But it's like finally cats is getting a sense of humor, man. It was just, I think sometimes that's necessary, bro.
Right.
You gotta be able to laugh at yourself.
A little
man.
comic relief.
Yeah, man. You know what I'm saying? I ain't trying to be at your throat every time I see you. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? Golly. Have a good time, man.
Yeah, that's like, we can get into that. Like, every time Frank comes in, everybody needs to always tell him, historian on deck, historian on deck. Every time. Anybody,
Yo,
you know?
I can't tell. Hey, look, man. Like, when cats will hop on the thread, I'll be, we might be in the mid chat, and I might look at the joint, and somebody be, yeah, they go no swag Malone. I mean, I'm like, hey, it's funny, okay? That's cool.
Frank,
I can take a joke, it's all
speaking
right.
of Frank, did y'all just see what he posted in the chat? He said, Alpha Omega is Lucifer Trust Incorporated.
Lucifer Trust Inc.
Like, for
all
real,
right.
Like,
a historian on deck. You might want to recheck. That's in the book of Revelation.
Right.
Yo, that corporation old as
Isaiah.
It's Greek characters. I'm just saying.
Where did they file for corporation status at back in the first century? Come on, man.
Gotta get
man,
come on, man.
I finna lay it down, man. I think we should go and close it on now.
Yeah. No doubt.
All right, Ron. God bless K-Dub. God bless Sean. God bless Adam Coleman. We're gonna do another one next month. Everybody together, Shield Squad. Peace out. It was good.
Peace out. Yeah.
Make sure y'all subscribe to the channels, man.
Subscribe to everyone's channel. Subscribe to LaRon's channel.
Yeah, absolutely.
Peace.
Peace.